The following is brought to you by the People's National Party.
Make the trumpets play. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. We can tell me how we can do it together. When we look to the future of precipice, we see Jamaica needs the vision of the PSP. People say the bag of promises, them can't carry go shop. And the crime rate getting higher, wonder when it does now comrades. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. We can tell me how.
The proceeding was brought to you by the People's National Party.
The scale of dealing with anti-corruption issues. So there is a learning curve that we are going through. What is important is that the government supports the development of the institution so it can accelerate very quickly on that learning curve and provide the resources so that they can move very quickly on the learning curve, and that the government does not intervene or interfere. And that message goes to the opposition as well. Leave the anti-corruption and policing agencies to do their jobs. I know why you come to me with that foolishness, you know. You elect a prime minister, and is a prime minister run the country. It is time we learn to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses. Otherwise, go elect the people who really run in the country. And I don't want the right stand that stupid argument. Hold the people you elect accountable and stop making excuses for them.
Hello, welcome. Blessed Tuesday.
All right.
Blessed Tuesday to everyone in television land. Blessed Tuesday to everyone in the chat, and blessed Tuesday to our silent supporters. Welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate each and every one. Hope you've had a wonderful start to the week. Tonight's topic is engineered hardship with your host Mystic Sensation, and in studio we have Melting Pot, and we should be joined by Mr. Rattigan shortly. Remember, guys, when you come in, thumbs up the live, share us out if you can. And if you're new to the channel, please show us some support by subscribing. That will be greatly appreciated. Guys, remember the membership is still active. Let me just welcome those in the chat. Carla Ebanks, Bertel Cookshawn, Dorothy McCoy, Rennie Swaby, Lindell McCormack, Elga Fletcher, Blendon, Sharon Ricketts, Sonia Graham, Lynette Jenkins, Rosalie Ricketts, Jonathan Johns, Charmaine Splatt, Yvonne Green. Welcome. And guys, remember to continue to pray for those who are in dire straits right now as a result of Hurricane Melissa, because it's going to be a long road to recovery. So just continue to keep them in our prayers and thoughts. I saw where some persons have donated some of the container homes. So a handful of people are out of the elements right now. So we're still trying to help with that steady, trying to get shelter over persons' heads. Let me just welcome those who just came in. King Tillich Anderson, Kingsley Anglin, Marva Dice, bless up, welcome. Without any further delay, I am going to hand over to Byron.
All right. Thank you, honey, for such an wonderful delivery. As usual, I want to say to all my ardent listeners and persons in the chat, right in the diaspora and locally speaking, thanks once again to supporting Mystic Sensation, right? I really appreciate it, right? And I am grateful, right, for the support. Now, let me say this. Before we begin, I would just have melting pot, just meet and greet, because tonight is not a normal night. No, it's not going to be a normal night. And so then, before we get into the heat of things, let us bring melting pot to meet and greet. Melting pot.
Thank you, Sir Byron. Yeah, once again, I greet you all, great love and admiration and enough blessing as usual. Hope you're all, coping regardless of the adversity that surround your environment. But, things will get better as the day go by. We just have to be strong and, be resilient in our own way. You understand? And let's hope that, the government will, come to its sense and realization that the thing need to be out there in a more efficient manner so that everyone can be looked after, in a speedily way. And, I just want to say to everyone in the chat tonight, let's hope you get interactive with us on the show and, keep us on our toes. I also like to acknowledge the host, Sir Lord Byron, and our wonderful technical director, Lady Anne Marie. And I like to also make mention of our, extended panelists, which will be joining us soon, Sir Wilfred Rattigan. So without any further ado, I'm back the floor to the host.
All right. Thank you, melting pot. Thank you so much. Right. Jamaica and the globe. Right. Now we have noticed that Monday there was no press conference, and today, right, parliamentary session cancelled. Jamaica. Pressure burst pipe. Let me get into some of the topics that we will be discussing tonight. Because let me tell you, Jamaica, it's not an easy road for the Jamaica Labour Party administration and the mess of which they have created. Let me categorically speak this. The private sector of Jamaica and the business community are growing frustrated with the Andrew Holness-led administration. And as such, you have seen where signs of the cracking begin. Press conference did not keep because, the amount of mess Darrell Vaz, right, had done. How are they going to answer questions as it relates to inspection through the ports? And tonight I have another Jamaica Labour Party member of parliament that, yes, I am going to give him some fire again. And this time, he flung the entire Jamaica Labour Party administration underneath the bus. And I'm talking none other than Delano Steve Wright. But before I touch that case, which is very serious as it relates to Delano Steve Wright, let me just give you some of the topics that we'll be going through. We have, in spite of multiple aids, people are suffering. Under this subheading, you are going to see the bangarang that we are going to reveal tonight. We have situations coming out of St. James, right, where a member of parliament sent me some information. I am not going to call the member of parliament name. And we have leptospirosis, the spread. Very serious time. And of course, we have Andrew and Edmund Bartlett scheme. And of course, we have investigation into Darrell Vaz. And of course, Paul Buchanan versus Andrew Holness. Problem that in a people. That is problem in a people. But before we get into the groove tonight, I want to send, my condolences to the friends and family of the pilot and his daughter who died as a result of, wanting to aid the Jamaican people. And all of my sympathy and blessing goes out to the family. Let us bring up that document and read through that. And then, of course, we'll be getting into the heat tonight, because tonight is very serious, right? As again, right? Tonight, we are going to turn up the heat. Now, here it is. They are the photographs of the father and daughter who died, really sad, in the process of helping our Jamaican people. And I take the time to really send out my condolences to families and friends, right? Now, father and daughter died while delivering hurricane relief supplies, right? Cayman Island-based missionary Alexander Worm and his 22-year-old daughter Serena died on Monday when their aircraft crashed shortly after takeoff from the Fort Lauderdale Executive Airport. The pair were en route to Jamaica to deliver Starlink communication systems, roofing screws, tarps, and medical supplies for hospitals and shelters affected by Hurricane Melissa. Worm, founder of Ignite the Fire Ministries, had long supported Caribbean relief effort, often using his plane to transport essential. Very, 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 take it away. Very sad situation. All right. So we take that away. Now, my Jamaican people, the evidence that I am going to present tonight is to show you where the PSOJ and the business community are really growing frustrated with the Andrew Holness administration because of their ill-preparedness, and the business community is suffering in terms of losing, right, their profit. Because, when, their profit line touch, right, then, of course, and based on the devastation as it relates to the catastrophe of Melissa, right, and the slow approach with Andrew Holness, playing politics as opposed to, right, dealing with the preparation and dealing with the aftermath. And he failed miserably in both categories. Not too about that. Miserably. And so the PSOJ recognized that. The business community recognized that. So let us just put out what the business community is saying. Let us bring up this document and show the evidence. Right? and show the people as it relates to the business community, right? Really and truly, right? Growing really frustrated with the Andrew Holness administration. But before I get there, my Jamaican people, I am going to play a clip of Mr. Richard Yu speaking facts as it relates to Andrew Holness not wanting to be criticized after his gross failure. And I remember quite well, and each time Mystic Sensation comes on, if you notice, we play the clip that when Andrew Holness was in opposition, Andrew Holness was asking the Jamaican people, as a matter of fact, instructing the Jamaican people, telling the Jamaican people that they need to hold the government responsible. That was Andrew Holness when he was in opposition, right? Telling the Jamaican people to hold the government responsible. Now, we are in the process of holding Andrew Holness responsible. But Andrew Holness is not taking that. He doesn't want to be critiqued constructively. Let me add that. Right? And he has problem, right, as it relates to anyone critiquing his administration. Right? So now just listen to what Mr. Richard Yu has to say. Honey, play that clip.
Hurricane Melissa has exposed holes in Jamaica's infrastructure, emergency preparedness, and coordination. In such a scenario, public criticism isn't frivolous, it is vital. When people raise concerns about supply chain failures, lack of shelter capacity, or communication breakdowns, they are doing the heavy lifting of democracy. When the Prime Minister frames those critics as negative fame seekers or potential misinformation spreaders, the posture shifts. Suddenly, dissent is cast as a problem rather than an opportunity to correct errors. Combine that with a record of intolerance for internal opposition, and the pattern becomes unmistakable. Mistakes are protected, narratives are managed, and critics are warned. That is not a culture of transparency. It is a culture of silence. Hurricane Melissa has exposed holes in Jamaica's infrastructure,
now,
emergency preparedness.
Based on what Mr. Richard said, not only that Andrew Holness, right, doesn't like criticism, what he had also done for those who we have been continuously critiquing, Andrew Holness awarded them, right? That is wrong as it relates to good governance. And so we are suffering as it relates to poor leadership coming from Andrew Holness. No leadership at all. And I'm glad, I'm happy that the PSOJ and the business communities are now recognizing that. Now, look what the business community, right, is saying. After 3 weeks, right? I mean, Andrew Holness cannot get the country up and running. And so the business community is talking up. So let us hear what the business community is saying. Let us hear what the business community is saying, my people. All right. Now, here it is. Goods not short, but delivery a challenge, distributor says. And this is where the Lanus Seabright is going to get himself in serious trouble. Just like how Darrell Vaz got himself into some trouble as a result of him saying that basically no inspection was done as it relates to goods coming through the port. Right? Delano Steve Wright is in problem with this. Now, goods not short, but delivery a challenge, distributors say. Now, large distributors say they are open for business and have adequate supplies of goods at this time, but are experiencing some challenges in getting products to the areas of Jamaica hardest hit by Hurricane Melissa. Glenn Christian, chairman and CEO of Carimed Group, said his company is now seeking to identify their customers affected by the hurricane to help get them back on their feet. Open quote, we have adequate inventory and we are back up running smoothly. We have no supply issue as we speak. My team is out there just trying to identify our customers and to determine whatever help that we can give to them, Christian told the Gleaner. Now, Grace Kennedy Group, a large manufacturer and supplier of food and other consumer products, said distribution of goods in Western Jamaica has been hampered because the retail sector in the region is not fully back on its feet, with many shops yet to reopen since the hurricane. While road access has largely been restored and our GK distribution centers are operational, many of our customers in Western Jamaica have not yet reopened and are currently unable to receive deliveries. We continue to fully service customers who are able to operate at this time, said Andrea Coy, CEO of Grace Kennedy. Now take that away. Now, this is Delano Steve Wright respond to Jamaican people and the public at large. Now look on Delano Steve Wright responding as it relates to the readiness of the Jamaica Labour Party, as according to Delano Steve Wright. Steve Wright says 90% of roads now clear as recovery work accelerate. Delano Steve Wright is going to get in trouble, tonight. Let me read that over. Steve Wright says 90% of roads now clear as recovery work accelerates. Now, Minister of State Delano Steve Wright says approximately 90% of Jamaica roadways are now cleared or traversable following Hurricane Melissa, allowing relief efforts and economic activity to resume. He noted that road restoration is a key step toward reopening businesses and supporting the upcoming winter tourist season, even as electricity, water, and telecommunications continue to be restored. All right, take that away. Now, Mr. Steve Wright, but I want to ask you, Mr. Steve Wright, based on what you have said, and that's why I show it to the world. 90%, right, of blockages of roads, access, as according to you, have been cleared. Well, Steve Wright, more than half of the people affected as it relates to the hurricane pathway have not been getting any aid from the government. So you have a problem tonight. You came out and you said to the entire world that 90%, right? 90% of road access, right, is up and ready and accessible. That's what you said. Well, I am telling you, sir, that more than 50% of persons who are affected in the hurricane pathway from ground zero, traveling diagonally in exiting through St. James, that hurricane pathway, more than 50% of persons, right? Many of those who are marooned. Now, let me say something to you, Steve, right? The Jamaica Labour Party have in their position billions of dollars of aids, including insurance payout. Let me repeat, based on what I said. So there's no reason as to why we can't have any access, as according to you now, to 90% of those persons who have been affected. I am saying what you said. You said 90% is now accessible. I am saying to you in the same breath that there is no reason after you have billions of dollars of aid, right? And where you have containers upon containers, but people, majority of the people are not getting any government aid. Where? The question is, what happened to the aid? Now let me show you some example. Steve Wright. Let us go to Global Star Entertainment. Let us get there. Let me just build the background before Melting Pot come in here. Let us get to Global Star Entertainment. Now, listen to this, Steve Wright.
This lady,
my outer road and somebody direct me to this lady. Now, people, oh God, my heart hurt me. Mommy, what you want to say to Jamaica? What you want? Talk. Because when my heart hurt me.
Me no know what me want. Me no want no food.
She don't want no food. She just
No,
want some.
say me that
She
in like
just
this
want
kind
her
of
place
food
fix up. People look on the place where the mummy are living and talk to. Oh God,
Look in this.
mummy want some help. She want some adult pampers. She want some soap, some sanitary things. Jesus Christ, that hurt me.
Jamaican elderly woman has lost everything in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa and is in urgent need of help due to her difficult living situation. The elderly woman was asked what most she's in need of, and her response was that she doesn't know what she wanted, just because she don't want to demand anything from anyone. This is really devastating. This elderly woman needs help to get her house back in good condition. She's living in mud and water at this time. No contact number or location was given out to the public following this unpleasant scene.
Look at this. She is alone.
Yeah,
watch out, people. Oh God, me need help for the lady here. Anybody who can reach out to me and help me for mommy. This is not a condition that a lady at her age can live into. Oh my God, man, look at this. Oh God, man, my heart hurt me. I do the video, my Anna tremble. Mommy, she get a plate of food there. Oh God, mommy, me I go try get some help for you, some help. Me I go put out this, and anybody who donate or anything, me I go link you and you tell me what you want. Cause me realize there's a woman where you're humbling in your situations, but you need help. You cannot be in this condition at your age. Look at, she's barefooted. Come on.
Let us know what's your
All
thoughts
right,
in the comment section.
I think I heard Rattigan came in. Right? Let me just have Brother Rattigan. Okay, Rattigan is not fully up yet, as yet. The land of Steve Wright, let me say it to you again. You said 90% of road access is now up and ready. Up and ready. And you can't take it back. That's what you have said. 90%. And I'm showing you as it relates to the amount of aids that the government have in their possession. And I am telling you that over 50% of the persons affected are not getting the aid from the government. And yet you have 90% road access. Before we get any further, let me just have Brother Rattigan meet and greet his people. Bangarang tonight, you know. Bangarang tonight, people. Yes, Brother Rattigan.
Good night, everyone.
Good night,
Lord
Brother.
Byron, Lady Anne Marie, Melting
Blessings.
Pot, all of the patriots, all of the supporters, all of the well-wishers. Good evening. I'm here, better late than never, ready to go. As my mother would say, ready for service.
All right. Thank you. All right. So, Diana Steve Wright, you said you have 90% of road access. Let me play you another clip. Brother Steve Wright. And then I'm going to let you in the panel. Let us hear another clip. Because we have multiple of you.
I need to go help. I need things to cook. I'm not MP. I'm not government people up here helicopter fly around. As a single mother, I need money. I don't try. I need a girl assistant out there. Oh God, man, look at my place. Yeah, look at my youth. Them can't eat and drink. I need a girl assistant. Oh God, I need to help. My broke, I'm out of money. I need to go help. I need to go assistant, man. Oh God, nobody don't come around us, sir. Nobody don't come around us to go look for the house. Every time you say everybody else blow down for me, no blow down. Look funny. Look funny. I need to go help. Stand! I need to go help. I need things to cook. I'm not MP. I'm not government people up here helicopter fly around. As a single mother, I need money. I don't try. I need a girl assistant out there. Oh God, man, look at my place. Yeah, look at my youth. Them can't eat and drink. I need a girl assistant. Oh God, I need to help. My broke, I'm out of money. I need to go help. I need to go assistant, man. Oh God, nobody don't come around us, sir. Nobody don't come around us to go look for the house. Every time you say everybody else blow down for me, no blow down. Look funny. Look funny. I need to go help.
Take it away. Ilana Steve Wright, you said, and we all witness, that you now have 90% road access. Many people within the hurricane pathway have not receiving any help from the government. God bless the entertainers and the good Samaritan that we have. But let me show you Jamaica as it relates to the amount of aid that the Jamaica Labour Party administration have. Now let me just go to the Gleaner and show the evidence. Now let us bring up that. Let us bring up the evidence. Now, Delana Steve Wright, this is what the government have available. Jamaica records more than 1,000 flights in 13 days following Hurricane Melissa. Kingston, Jamaica. Jamaica's aviation sector has shown strong resilience in the wake of Hurricane Melissa, with the country recording 1,138 flights between October 29 and November 10. According to Transport Minister Darrell Vaz, speaking Tuesday at Jamaica House during a post-disaster media briefing, Minister Vaz said, the numbers highlight the continued confidence in Jamaica's airspace, even amid national recovery efforts. 1,138 flights in the height of the first 2 weeks of Category 5 hurricane. Thanks to everybody who's worked with me to make this happen. The airports and all the handlers and everybody else, Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority, Airport Authority, it's a feat that must be commended, he said. Of the total flights received, 499 were commercial passenger flights. Jamaica, 369 were cargo flights and 270 private flights. Now, the Norman Manley International Airport handled the bulk of the activity with 578 flights, while Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay recorded 369 flights over the same period. Vaz noted that the mix of arrival demonstrates both the sustained movement of humanitarian and the increased flow of relief supplies and essential goods following the hurricane impact. Take that away. So let me ask the question. After having 90% of road access, Jamaica Labour Party administration, after, why you have not reached more than half of the persons who are affected? You said you have 90% road access. Let me just bring Melting Pot in the space to let him say his input based on what the Lano Steve Wright said. Melting Pot.
Thanks, Sir Byron. And I mean, first I just want to shed some light on that very distressing video where we saw that young lady, crying for help and crying for help in a very, distressing manner, so to speak.
You can turn up the volume, Melting Pot. Turn up the volume.
Yeah,
yes, go ahead.
Now.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, we saw her in a distressing manner. And I mean, it's very heartrending to know that someone putting a video out there, in that manner. It tell you the state of affairs. She had no other choice because no one want to put a video out there for the world to see them, in that state. But when the crisis arises, people have to do what is vitally necessary as it relates to they can survive this outcome. And we now have to look back at what Delano Steve Wright said, that 90% of the roads are cleared. And we are asking the government of the day, why aren't the supplies from the cargo flight as it relates to people sending in charitable donation for distribution for the people who need it most in the affected areas? Why are these supplies not getting to the people? It's a shame to think that we have 369 cargo flights within a 2-week period with thousands of tons of supply, but people are still out there crying their eye out, begging someone to come and help them and them children, and to look at the state of how they are left to survive. And I find it very despicable for Delano Steve Wright to mention, that 90% of the roads are cleared, but not saying anything as it relates to the readiness of the government now to get the supply to the people, knowing to the fact that 90% of the road are now possible for truck to go in with supplies. I'm hearing the private sector organization, them trying to get their, sector up and running again. But most of the people don't have a job to go to earn, to spend in the shops them. So the priority is to restore the people in life in a manner where they can survive, eat and drink properly. Yeah, not having to be, waiting for heaven knows when before them get a supply of food. Yeah, look after the people in that regard. Yeah, so that they can remain healthy till when the work sector them open up back so them can go work, to have money, they can go back into the shop then. So we have a systematic problem now brewing in the country. And it's just because the government has been very lethargic and tardy in their approach towards, getting the relief out to the people and restoring back some semblance of normality in the country where they're trying to shape back the economy in terms of people welfare as it relates to them job, get things up and running. They are tardy because Andrew Wallace want to hold up the things and that come into the country, Yeah. Andrew Wallace wouldn't mind if the private sector, them business place can open up back. And them can say, yeah, the people have food in them here. But where's the money to buy the food? The government need to get the supplies that come into the country out there to the people. Alleviate the people of the suffering strain that they're undergoing. Yeah, and then start to rebuild back around the people and both the shop and their houses. That's the only way the economy can start move. Yeah, and the government have to take a stand now because everybody is upset, and disgruntled at how lethargic the government is. Scant regard is paid to bringing back the country to a semblance of normality, where you can see people, returning back to some semblance of life and work. Yeah, how they live and they can go back to work and start to earn. So the crisis is more than, we can imagine right now. And it fall right on the shoulder of the government led by Andrew Holness. We are not hearing anything from Andrew Holness in recent years. We are only hearing from some people who are unprofessional, who are not qualified, who are delusional, inadequate in their brain capacity, because they're not speaking in terms of what we are seeing. They are saying something opposite or contrary to the fact. And what we are seeing is that people still hasn't got any attention from the government. And these people now have to be making video, putting out there, literally clean to the entire world. Because when you put a video out there, the entire world can view it. You understand? And I mean, the fact that so much cargo flight coming, yeah? And you also have 270 private flight, where I know them private flight there, I like the artists them, bringing them thing them and all them stuff there, yeah? Plus even the 499 commercial flight. People flying, because they're not tourists, A Jamaican a return to help them people. So the
Yes.
government have get so much help, yeah, but the government is not helping themselves towards building back the country. I'm asking the question, why is the tardiness so effective? Yeah? Why? What is the reason? Because we've been calling out this man enough to move towards the people. But him tardiness is so effective that, him feel comfortable with it. I don't know what message him getting from that. Is it just the fact that he want to hear the people who never support him party crying out for mercy and help and, all these things? Because this man don't have the country interest at heart. I want to him playing politics, him playing a serious game. Because what Andrew Willis and him party do is suppress the People's National Party supporters and victimize them as well. And victimization shouldn't be the other day we have to call a spade a spade. This is what we are seeing. The most affected areas is where the Prime Minister and his emergency team should be concentrating their effort on. Yeah, in terms of supplies. Yeah, like food and water. And try to get back in one room so the people can stay in the one room build them something. Yeah, just give them a start. We know that if we didn't even see the work I carry out, would I say, well, yeah, the work on its way. But not no start. Everything is at a standstill and so much aid coming in. So it begs us to believe what this government is doing. And every sector going to get this grunt with the government. And then we're going to have more problem mounting up on problem. And I know that the country cannot absorb the amount of problem that we are seeing coming its way. And I yield back the floor. Sir Byron.
Yes. All right, Melting Pot. Thank you for that. Brother Rattigan, before I make you come in, I don't know if you have seen the statement from Delano Seabright, right? Okay, I'm going to show it to you again in terms of what Delano Seabright is saying here, right? So that you can respond to it properly, right? Delano Seabright is saying that they have now achieved 90% road access. But yet, right, more than half of the people who got affected in the hurricane pathway, right, they are not getting any government access. So let me just, here it is, Brother Ratty. Save Right says 90% of roads now cleared as recovery work accelerates, right? And this is November 18, 2025. This is today that he's saying that. Right? Minister of State Delano Seabright says approximately 90% of Jamaica roadways are now cleared or traversable following Hurricane Melissa, allowing relief efforts and economic activity to resume. He noted that the road restoration is a key step towards reopening businesses and supporting the upcoming winter tourist season, even as electricity, water, and telecommunications continue to be restored. And I have said that we are not talking about the 90% of road access. Even when the government have 60% of road access, right, as it relates to the hurricane pathway, that amount of access should also share evenly as it relates to giving aid, right, to those areas that the government, you understand, have access to. Now that they have 90% access, and several people in several communities, particularly where Westmoreland is concerned, right, St. Anne's and Trelawney, right, a lot of those people are complaining that they have not receiving any aid from the government, and the aid that they are receiving are from the help from people outside of the government. What say you on the matter, Brother Ratty?
Blessings again. You know me, I start from not start out elementary. 90% of which roads? You have farm roads, you have rural roads, you have highways, you have arterial roads, you have other roads.
Yes.
90% of which one of those roads? Also 90% of where? 90% of the roads in St. Elizabeth, Clarendon, Hanover, Trelawney, St. James.
Yes.
I don't understand this. And also, let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say, yeah, 90% of the roads in the affected areas, 90% of the roads, meaning all the roads I just mentioned. Then how is it that people still stranded and not getting services?
There you go.
How?
There you go, sir.
And listening to Melting Pot and to you, and also based on the things I'm hearing firsthand and the things I'm reading, here are some words I'm gonna use to describe what I think is going on, what I believe is going on. Whole bunch of words: confusion, chaos, disorganized, unprepared, lack of accountability. Also, we must keep in mind that the monies that are flowing in, monies, currency that are flowing in, them can't use that for balance no budget or use it for no budget because it's not coming in for that purpose. So we have to keep our eye on that. And then here's the key point for me. You remember that there was an agency responsible for disaster management and preparedness called OTPEM. Remember what happened to that ministry about less than 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
They said, I'm going to move that ministry within my portfolio. Why? Because I'm going to make it more efficient. I'm going to streamline the resources across government, and I'm going to put a military man in charge of it because the military, by its mandate, they have disaster preparedness up as one of the things that they have to do. He also said there's going to be great collaboration. I only have one question to ask. Have we seen it? Obviously not. We're not seeing it because when you play a video, this heart-wrenching video, it's clear that the government is not doing what it's supposed to do. And so I won't be surprised when things get worse because what we're looking at a recipe for more disaster. For more disaster. I just don't see the government doing the things that it said it was going to do and the things that a government should be doing. So I'll just leave it right there for now.
Thank you, Brother Rattigan. Right, well said. Now, let me show Jamaica, right, as it relates to what Delano Seabright has said and show evidence that government access and aid, right, is just not reaching with the love heaven inside me, right, in spite of 90% of road access. Crazy. Now, let me show you some evidence of some clips here, right? Because we are just not critiquing the government negatively, right? Based on what Delano Seabright said, 90% of road access. But look, as it relates to the government, not. It's like the government just forgetting, right? Some of these people who are affected. Now, look at these clips, my Jamaican people. Yes. Look at these clips, right? Now, it's serious, right? And these people need help. And that's what Rattigan, right, and Melting Pot pointing out, right? There are going to be more serious things coming down into the pipeline, right?
You're going to get hot water tomorrow. But we are in touch. Yeah, that's what we water. All right.
take it away on it, right? Because there are reasons why I'm showing these clips. Right, let us go to the next video, right, quickly. Right, let us go to the next video.
Good morning, everyone. Senator Floyd Morris and I went to St. James yesterday. We made a number of stops looking at some of the impact brought on by Hurricane Melissa. Two of the places that we made stops at were the West Wind Catchment area and Edmond Ridge. When we were at Catchment, what we saw was something that is starkly different from what is being banned about in the media.
What I showed my Jamaican people is to the fact that Andrew Ones went down there, right, roughly about 3 days after the hurricane, and I show you the clip that I played before with Andrew Ones, right, in the area, right? Now, this was 2 days ago. This clip that I'm showing, right, in Catherine Hall, right? Now, let us play it. So I just want for clarity. Nothing being done, right? The slow movement of the government, right, and the PR. So listen up keenly, people.
In terms of how the relief and recovery efforts being managed in that area. Many of us who are from St. James, well, across the country, in terms of those who are following the media, we would have heard that the West Wind Catchment area would be tantamount to the ground zero for the impact of Hurricane Melissa in St. James. And yes, it is devastated. It is devastated. What we saw was catastrophic. Houses and property totally destroyed by the waters that were reported to have overflown the banks of the river. Cars, no house, no car is untouched. You know, but we also saw that the construction work that have been taking place in the community pre the election, the incomplete construction work, in our minds would have contributed to the impact. And residents said that to us, you know, we have had rains in the past and water would have flown through the community. But given a wall that was constructed seemingly as a sidewalk and probably where the road will be raised to, this wall in many cases was like mid-height of the ground floor of the houses. So it trapped the water. It trapped the water in the community. And many people said to us that that is the main cause of the flooding. You know, so that's one thing. Yes, there was a Category 5 hurricane and the impact was devastating, but part of it, we believe, and the residents believe, it's man-made. Now, to make things worse, the management of the relief effort. The management of the relief effort is horrid. The media is advancing a narrative that things are getting better. It is not. I am a part of an emergency management committee in the parish, and on Tuesday we were told that water and light will be restored in the community. That is not the case. That is not the case. 2 days, at least 2 days, a national campaign, national parish campaign that is, took place to mobilize volunteers and all the service entities to get into the community to help with the cleaning up and the relief and the restoration efforts. That was a 2-day initiative, and it appears as if we didn't move the needle much, because during our visit yesterday, the basics were still.
So, people, I want you to understand this video here, because what being done here as it relates to Alan Bernard, right, is giving you a mixture of what transpired immediately after the aftermath, right, of the hurricane, and after the aftermath of the hurricane that the Prime Minister had went down. And he is also showing you now clip after, right, where they went down 2 days, right, ago, right, and showing you, right, so you're seeing the past, and you're seeing what it is, and he's describing it. You understand that regardless of the PR, right, nothing being done in a very speedily way. So I want you to understand. All right, let me go ahead.
Not done. Residents are doing all they can to get the mud and the silt out of them houses. But yet we continue to hear in the media that there's an effective relief and recovery effort taking place in Catchinall, West Green, so much so that they have already started to put timelines, some ridiculous timeline, on when the community will be back to normal. This community will not be back to normal anytime soon, especially with the kind of management that we're seeing with relation to the relief and recovery effort. Residents have said to us that the most frustrating thing about this process is that persons who would raise objection to say these things are not being done and they should be done, these persons are bullied, they are coerced, many are offered incentives not to speak out. And again, in a time when resources are scarce, residents admit to taking the incentives and keeping quiet. And so things continue as they are. This kind of effort will not bring any substantial relief or rehabilitation to the community anytime soon. The effort should not be a public relations effort. Just recently, the residents told us a town hall meeting was held. And you would have thought that a town hall meeting was the place where all the authorities and representatives would come to hear the concerns and to take into consideration those concerns and act on them. But we were told that is not what took place at the meeting. The meeting was primarily the political representatives and other stakeholders and relief providers coming, telling or promoting what they have done so far to improve the conditions. And residents were totally bewildered because they were sitting there looking at themselves, wondering, okay, where is all this that you're talking about? We are here. The conditions have not been ameliorated in any significant way. So it was really disheartening to see what is happening on the ground and then to turn the pages of the major newspapers or to listen to the radio or to watch the television and hearing the total opposite.
Okay, all right. Either away, right? I just want people to understand as it relates to what Alan Bernard is saying, right? And the slow approach, right? In put the engine back into the economy. Now, let me show you something, people, as it relates to persons there, right? Who is in shelter, right? And what the government now is saying to them, right? So I am wondering if this situation is that the government is deliberately causing the suffering of the people. Now look at this. Look at this. This was just sent to me, and I'm going to show it, Brother Rattigan and Melting Pot. Look at this. What just sent to me. Right? This is crazy. What is going on? What really is going on? Now, let us read this, people. Right? Because this was just sent to me, you know. Now, I am currently staying at the Goodwill Primary and Infant School, right? Number 40 emergency shelter in the parish of St. James. I have been there from the day of the storm. We have been told yesterday by the community JP that we have to leave the school that belongs to the church and not the government, and not to stay there and get removed by the police or the JDF today. We have been told by the acting principal and teacher that we must leave from the school premises as school must resume, right? The shelter currently hosts 14 people, 3 kids ages 18 months to 7 years of age, 3 elderly adults, 1 who is blind in 1 eye, and another who is diabetic and disabled, and another who is mentally unstable. Most of us homes are flat to the ground, as it was Spanish walls, which is how homes was made in the older days. We are very confused and concerned, as we have nowhere to go, and there has been no member of parliament or government official that has come to help us, even to get some supplies to give us a start. Our MP is Edmund Bartlett. We would like to thank the Goodwill Aluminum Association, World Central Kitchen, the Pocket Rocket Foundation, and the PNP Councillor Michael Allen, also known as Banga, for the support we have gotten over the past few days. We pray that the Prime Minister address this situation, as it is very disheartening and unconscionable to know that the government now want to kick out these people from out of their shelters. Now you tell me, is the government is dealing with the situation in a very, conscionable way? Sympathize and empathize? That now the government now is now taking out people, right? Now, when you look at this situation, that these people are asked to leave the shelter and the condition that they are in. No homes. And so you see now it goes to the government preparation. No preparation has been made for these people. And we are talking about, we are in the recovery stage. We are in the recovery stage. And no preparation. No preparation. This is 3 weeks, Jamaica. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And the Lana Seabright is saying 90% of road access. Him can't take it back, you know. That's what he said. 90% of road access. Now look at this clip, people. Look at this clip. Look at this other clip. Play. Look at this other clip. Now, Jamaica, let me tell you something. Now, we are going to get a health crisis in Jamaica. It's not normal. Look at the clip now, people. Look at this clip. Now, Jamaica, where do you think I'm going? I am showing you how our people being exposed. You see what they are doing? Catching water from the river. And the spread of leptospirosis, another bacterial infection. You see, all of those people catching the water and drinking the water and bathing in the water. A hurricane, as it relates to Melissa, with a wind thrust of 185 miles per hour, traveling in those regions. You know what Melissa have done? Rupture a lot of sewage line. A lot of sewage line. People, I want you to listen to me. A lot of sewage line would have been ruptured. Feces would be leaking to streams and rivers. And what you have seen there. What you have seen there. So then let me ask, how is the government want to get ready with a workforce that is not healthy and sick? Are we going to have people with leptospirosis going to the workplace to spread the bacteria? And then what is going to happen? Right, from parish to parish. This is very serious. And the government tardiness is just telling you. And remember what Delana Steve Wright said. They now have 90% access. And people are in this dilemma. Now let me go to Brother Rattigan. Brother Rattigan, what you have to say as it relates to what you have just seen?
Yes, again, more of the same, you know. This is what when you're unprepared. This is what when you're arrogant. This is what happens when you're more concerned about consolidating power as opposed to providing power for the people so that they can see them, can cook them, can turn on whatever appliances them have and use. It's just terrible. The last video show is very disturbing. Very, very disturbing. And somebody in the chat was saying, essentially they were saying, oh, Mr. G said, I don't want to see the health crisis. Well, Mr. G, nobody wants to see it, but it's a reality. You know, it's going to take a miracle for it not to happen because the ingredients for this are there. And so, you know, with all the cleared roads that is, I'm still wondering why is it that they're not getting help to the people. And you made a point that we must take note of, and that is the hurricane ruptured a lot of sewage lines. So a lot of the running water now contaminated.
Oh, yes.
And we don't see any effort to talk to people about that. You know, if you do an unscientific, I did an unscientific poll about the Prime Minister. And people are telling me that he's the most, and I'm not talking like youngsters, people who, you know, in their lifetime, they've seen like like two prime ministers. Talking about people in their 60s and 70s. And they said, this prime minister is by far the most disliked prime minister. And, you know, we had a gentleman on the program on Saturday, and he has been to the affected areas, I think 4 times, he said. I think he's going again this week. And what's interesting, he said, some of the areas, some of the areas, he said, he went to and he spoke to people. They're JLP supporters. They're JLP supporters, and they're crying just like everybody else. He said they're crying that the government is simply not doing enough, and in some instances not doing anything to help them that they can see something tangible they haven't seen. So this government is just feeling left, right, and center, and everybody, almost everybody, is complaining. And so, sad to say, it's gonna get worse, and we just have to just watch now to make sure that them don't pocket the money, because there's this temptation, and I'm sure they're gonna yield to it. They're gonna line their pockets, and we have to watch them. That 150 million from the coming through the auspices of the World Bank, that 70 some odd million from the Caribbean, and the other money is flowing in. Watch, poor people not going to get that money. When I say get the money, I mean not the actual cash, but get the benefit from it in kind. They're not going to get it. They're not going to get it. So, Mystic, I tell you, it's a depressing time. Really depressing time. Really depressing time.
Really sad.
Okay.
Thank you for that, Brother Ratty. Let me go to Brother Melting Pot. Melting Pot, we have a hurricane, Melissa, with a wind speed, of course, 85 miles per hour. Would have damaged a lot of sewage line, as I spoke about. Right, you have dead animals. Right, you even have dead persons. Right, bodies and and all of that. You have just seen a clip where people, right, having access to that river water, right, bottling it up, drinking it, right, cook with it, washing them clothes with it, bathe, melting pot. You can see that a catastrophe in health crisis is coming. What say you on the matter, melting pot?
Well, the matter is a grave matter, Yeah, because we know on the back of what we see happening out there, that there will be an epidemic outbreak in Jamaica of several diseases, not just leptospirosis, but you're going to have cholera, you're going to have dengue, you're going to have malaria. You understand? And I mean, we're not hearing anything from the personnel in charge. We're not hearing anything from Tufton, the man in charge of the ministry. And I mean, we hear very little from the CEO, yeah, Mrs. Bisesa Mackenzie, Lindsay Bisesa Mackenzie, right. She's the CEO for the Ministry of Health. And so, the collaboration from the government side is lacking, and in some case, it's not happening. I mean, I can remember earlier on in November, I think it was somewhere between the 2nd and the 3rd, when they have that sitting in Parliament where Shadow Minister of Health, Dr. Alfred Dawes, was saying to the government, and giving them insight into the eventuality of what might happen if health is not being looked at with priority measures. And Tufton said something about politics over, and like Dr. Alfred Dawes play politics.
Yes.
But here it is now, we have several cases of leptospirosis, And I mean, I know when you have that amount, it's widespread. You understand? Because there's no testing of anything as it relates to infection within the society. I mean, the Ministry of Health gone somewhere I can't know. Nobody can seem to know either. Because these people are not professionals at what they do. Tufton should never continue as Minister of Health based on his failure in several departments, as it relates to how the sector was run, how the money was managed, and all these things, and lack of transparency and accountability. So a minister like that would have, had to relinquish the post. Even on the back of this market me fiasco, he would have to relinquish that post. But Andrew retained these people because these are the people that he wants to have, around him to carry out governmental work. But the crisis is not getting better, it's getting worse, because even the cleaning up operation that I am witnessing is not done satisfactory. You can't clean and clear debris but the sludge, the mud, seem to get rid of it. So these people is constantly walking in muds and puddles of mud and contaminated mud and water that
Exactly.
need to clean up.
Exactly.
If you're going to do a restoration program, you have to have a systematic cleaning up operation in place. So you clean debris, you clean road, and you get rid of the sludge as best as possible. You understand? There is no equipment in Jamaica. Jamaica supposed to have some truck that can suck up all these things. Because when you talk about being prepared and ready for these type of disaster, you have to have all the machinery tools.
Yes.
Because say, well, then you're going to get mud and all these things. What you're going to use to clean mud? You have to clean up the place properly, man. You can't just be moving these things, the zinc them and the lumbers and whatever, the blow down tree, and you say you clear road, but the road don't clean. The people them living in puddles of mud, and we're talking about contaminated mud that's supposed to start smelling now with, rank and sourness. Because that's what happened with mud over a period of time, It smells. Because that's when the bacteria is at its highest propensity. So the Minister of Health need to understand, say, Dr. Alfred Dawes wasn't playing a politics tune.
Exactly.
Man was playing the right tune, telling you what you must get prepared for. You understand? But as we always say to the Jamaican people, the Jamaica Labour Party is not a party who must put on a life in a them trust. You understand? Because they don't care for people's life. You have to put your life in a trusty set of people that show you good leadership quality, people that are fair and transparent, people that you can hold accountable. None of these labor rights, you can't hold them accountable, Them have more than we believe. You understand? I remember them have certain things that prevent them from even being held accountable. So we have a systematic problem that keep hindering this country, Jamaica, from growing. And the systematic problem that we have is that we have a set of people serving as ministerial officials who are all criminal bandulis, propagandists, PR specialists. They are not good for the country. I mean, people that we know anywhere else in the world, they would not be in the position they are as it relates to government official because they play politics with everything. It's not a serious government we have. Now, where the breakdown between the government and the opposition is at this time. It should never be. It should be a more cohesive unity base. So you have the opposition working in tandem with the government. And it's spread right across the island. Everybody working to resurrect their community and constituency. But when you alone want to deal with all the relief program and everything because they're looking leverage through a political grapevine that doesn't exist at this moment, then we're going to have this problem because the affected areas are not being looked at, they are being neglected because
Exactly.
people play in politics. And that this is so bad and damaging for the image of Andrew Wallace and the Jamaica Labour Party. Yeah? And the simple fact of the matter is that Jamaica has been given so much by outside source that the outside source should not be hearing and seeing these type of videos still existing. Should not be seeing people still remain in the same situation like day one after Hurricane Melissa.
Exactly.
Now into the third week and nothing seems to change on the ground in the affected areas. So when the land I go tell you about 90% of the road clear, I don't see 90% of the road them clear. This guy
Crazy.
is delusional. You understand? And we know the strategy that they're having. Because listen to Alan Bernard. Alan Bernard was making mention that even people being paid not to speak out.
It's
And I
crazy.
mean, That is crazy. That is unbelievable in this time. Because the money that you're paying people not to speak out should be best served trying to rebuild these people's life by spending the money wisely. So I'm not expecting to hear all these type of garbage still existing. But we
Exactly.
know it cannot desist because the Labour Party pride itself on this type of practice. You understand? And so we have to call a spade a spade. This government need to go like ASAP and the people on the ground seeing it. So my people, and I mean, when I say my people, all Jamaican are my people. Yeah. I'm saying no to everybody, whether you Labour right or you the People's National Party supporter, whatever the problem is that surround your life currently, please speak out. Do not sell your voice. Remember, them buy the vote and you sell your vote the other day. No, the Almighty has presented a different, proposition to you people in Jamaica. And don't make the mistake of selling the vote. Do not sell your voice. Please speak out on the issue that exists in and around your community on a daily basis, because that's where your life begins. Your life is within your community. That's where you live. And so you must ask and make mention of this crisis and the situation. Ask for help. If you're not getting help, speak out on the matter. Voice your opinion. Come out, do your video, right? If you even want to declare your affiliation, no problem, because this is a country of freedom of speech. Don't let no one muzzle you down there and buy on a voice. Them buy on a vote the other day. Don't sell the voice. We want to know what is happening. The outside community that donate into Jamaica want to know what is happening as well. Don't make these people come down there and pretend like they are the one who are fixing the problem. They are not doing nothing to help the problem. People from outside of Jamaica sending the things for you people in Jamaica. And it can't even get to the sources that is mostly affected. And it's a crying shame on the Jamaica Labour Party. It's a crying shame on Andrew Wallace, the leader. And it's a crying shame on the PSOJ, because they helped to farm this problem that exists. And I yield back the floor.
Thank you, Melting Pot. Well, my Jamaican people, we have shown you the videos, right, of the terrible condition, right, and we are concerning about leptospirosis and, of course, other bacteria, right? And while, the government is claiming that, okay, he's preparing, right, for people to go back to work, I don't think the government taking in consideration that, okay, all right, these people who are affected, right? Now, many of these people, right, they are going to be engaged into might be areas of work wherever they work, right? And if they have the bacteria, I am saying, isn't that you're going to have a spread now from one area to the working area, and it's going to cause another dilemma. So I'm saying, if Prime Minister Andrew Holness is considering these factors, simply mean that if you don't take a hold on this, it is going to be extremely serious. Extremely serious. Because you are thinking about, okay, all right, up and ready the economy. And you are not thinking about the health condition. And so then when these people who have been contaminated, right, they'll be going to the workplace and what to think. And if they travel on buses, right, like couple hotels, right, in the Montego Bay region, some of them have to take staff bus. If they have to take staff bus, right, and they been contaminated with all sort of bacteria, Andrew, let me ask you a question. What do you think is going to happen? So one of the first, and this is one of the reasons why you make a critical mistake. The critical mistake that you have made that caused the dilemma right now on your hand, Andrew Honest, is not to work in tandem with the opposition. What you should have done is to put politics out of the way totally, dealing with a catastrophe like this. You should seek, as a leader, you should seek togetherness. And first, show the nation that you are united. From the moment you have not done that. But yet, remember, Andrew Honest, you were the first to come out and said you want unity as it relates to your political trickery. And then even now, let us show you what I'm talking about. Even now, Andrew Honest, you have not set up a task force outside of Parliament, right, to make sure they have checks and balance. So what are you doing? What are you doing? What is the strategy? What is the plan? You are now in the stage of recovery, but it seems like, to be honest, it seems like you're panicked. Your government is panicked, is in a panic mode. And obviously, I am looking at it, and I'm not seeing where you have any strategy going forward. Because again, if you're preparing to send back people to work, you're not anticipating or use prudency to say that, look, it is the possibility that these people are going to spread the bacteria at the workplace. So what is going to happen? And then you have what? A total inoculation. So when we say that you need to clear and secure, that's the mission that you need to have. Evacuate, clear, and secure. But you just did not have that sort of policy. And you don't have that. Because even now, the policy that you have, you are not clearing out the people from out of the contaminated zone. This is madness. Andrew Honest, this is madness. The Land Receive Right is saying that now they have 90% road access. And yet, the people are not getting the adequate care. Let me show you something, Andrew Honest. Let me show you something. Now, play this clip with Mark Golding. Let me show something to Andrew Honest. Because obviously, your administration doesn't seem to get it. No wonder why you don't have any press conference and you cancel Parliament. Because, I mean, what is going to be the business of the day? Obviously, you have none. And of course, you have a strong opposition now that would have taken you to task today, including the madness as it relates to Darrell Vaz, as it relates to Fim Shik Touch the Fan, saying that he's taking bales of goods through the airport without any inspection. So we understand, you guys are hiding away. No press conference and no part. How long you think you can run for? Now play this.
We're just down in Catherine Hall Sunday, 3 weeks after hurricane hit.
Well, stop it. I want people to listen to what Mark Golding is saying, because we are not making up anything here. Mark Golding said he went down to Catherine Hall this Sunday. 3 weeks after hurricane, right, Melissa? And I showed the clip previously where we have seen Andrew Honest went to West Green, And I've shown you where Alan Bernard is showing you, right, the clip where he went there, right, and up to speed as it relates to 2 days ago. As I mentioned before, here Mark Golding is now going to say clear now as it relates to Sunday.
And make sure people understand that West Green is in Catherine.
Yes, and I am saying that West Green is in Catherine Hall. So then, I am saying, Andrew Honest, you visited, look, Jamaican people, let me talk to them. You visited Catherine Hall, and we show the clip where you have gone there. And from the aftermath of Melissa, no progress hardly make. Now watch this now, Andrew Honest. Let me try to understand your mentality here, or the level of your wickedness that you are trying to meet out to people. You have flown over, right, the corridor of Melissa's corridor. You have flown over it. Andrew Honest, you have seen the devastation. You have seen the suffrage. And then, Andrew, you're going to Parliament. I tell the people them say you give $10 million per constituency. Now let me o'clock myself tonight, you know. We just talk nice and easy. Andrew Honest, you know, say you're all wicked. You know, see it say you're 100% pure evil. Now let me ask you a question, you know. If you only have 10 million to give, you make me come to you, you know, because it seems like me open up Jamaican eye, you know. If you can't find more than $10 million to give, let me ask you a question, Andrew Honest. You have gotten paid out from the insurance. And you sit on $6 billion in surplus. The country needs to know that, you know. You sit on over $6 billion in surplus. You are asking people to make sacrifice. But yet, you have given 200 and 300% raise. And let me ask you a question. You now have an understanding of the status of the economy. Are you going to make any adjustment to know that the economy at this time is fragile, cannot carry the burden of those salaries, and yet you, as according to your argument, as according to your PR, said you have $6 billion in reserve. So let me ask you a question, Andrew Honest, because I'm going to investigate coming from tomorrow. I want to know if the rumor that you spread that you have $6 billion in surplus, could it be that it was just mere lies? Andrew, think about it. Jamaican people, think about it. If you have $6 billion in surplus, you have gotten paid out on the catastrophe bond. You have other insurance paid out. You get billions in aid. Why is it that you couldn't take a $2 billion from out of the surplus? Hey, bangarang there, you know. Andrew Honest say, I'll get in trouble. Andrew Honest, Jamaican people are going to realize. Andrew Honest, let me ask, sir, are you really serious when you said Jamaica has over $6 billion in surplus? Or it was just lie you have told the Jamaican people? Because it want to appear as if you are doing something to the economy. Because we know you have told lie as it relates to you claiming that you brought poverty from 18% to 9%. You know. We know that a line. Because there was no census data collected. So under no circumstances, what matrix did you use? Someone go and show the plain lie there, you know. And then we get, but no, You understand, to the $6 billion in surplus we say you're having. And you know only are going to Parliament after you've flown over the area and you see the devastating effect, the impact. And you are saying that you only have 10 million to give, right, to Member of Parliament. So let me ask you a question, Andrew, because it seems like, and I want mainstream media to ask these questions. This is no time for no bullshit. Do we have $6 billion in surplus? And why can't we utilize at least $2 billion out of that surplus? Understanding the crisis that we are going through. So then I personally will following up on that. And I'm going to push that in because I want to know if you really have $6 billion in surplus. Now let me tell you, as it relates to what your tardiness is doing. Now let us go back to the Mark Golding clip. We are beat and teach tonight. Now let us go back to the Mark Golding clip.
Everybody knows ground zero in Montego Bay. Mainly flood and mud damage every house. Level of the water, you can see it up to here. So, you know, a lot of people's lives were in great danger. In fact, the occupier of a house told me of a young man who got him out and got her out. Otherwise, she and her husband would probably not have made it. And unfortunately, he passed away 2 days ago, leptospirosis. So it's a serious thing. Obviously, the public health issues in this community are very serious because of all the mud and everything that's mixed up in that mud. So we brought some hygiene supplies, some soaps of various types, some push brooms, and supply of water and bleach. Because we know cleaning up is what's going on here now. So, you know, it's our contribution to this effort here. But it's very depressing. And, you know, it's going to take a long time for this to come back. But the spirit of the people, 3 weeks on, still strong. And we love that, you know. Doing their thing. Saw the mayor as well, big up mayor. So yeah, efforts are being made in Captain Hall. Went to other communities where there's been nobody there at all, but Captain Hall is getting some attention, so we're grateful for that. Here I am, Mark Golding, leader of the opposition, visiting Peterfield High School, which is a major shelter. I think 160 or so people living here at the moment. And, you know, we just brought a truckload of some items for the people who are here. I'm with the MP, Dwayne Vaz, and our councillor candidate for this division, Abigail Malcolm. Yeah, I mean, the people are happy to see us. Obviously, the needs are great. What they're asking for right now is mattresses and towels and so on. Some would love some chicken. They're tired of the tin food. I'm trying to understand. And we just saw the water arrangements here, and we're going to have a look at some of the other amenities. Very difficult situation. People want building materials. They want to get back their homes, start building back their homes. And they're asking for zinc, they're asking for cement, they're asking for steel and so on. I'm hoping that the government will commence a program. They've started something with the MPs, but it's $10 million Jamaican, you know, that's not going to do a whole lot. So it's the needs are so enormous in this part of Jamaica that it really needs a national program to be rolled out. And I'm sure, you know, that will happen, but it's just how quickly. So people are going to have to be patient, you know, because it's not going to be overnight. But, you know, we're just here to show solidarity with the people and, you know, show them that one Jamaica, one united country, we're all working to try and make the situation better. It's a very difficult situation, but that's what we're trying to do.
All right, take that away. And I want to say, as it relates to Mark Golding providing leadership, right? In that, I really love what Comrade Leader Mark Golding has been doing, right? But the government is showing you that they lack proactiveness, right? Because now we have a crisis on hand as it relates to the spread of not only leptospirosis, but other potential bacteria as well. And so then we are seeing the devastating effect. We are seeing the ripple effect. You understand? As it relates to the critical failure of Andrew Holness administration. Right? The critical failure. And Andrew Holness is going to regret it. Right? Because what you should have done as it relates to immediate aftermath was to make sure that you send a strong message that you and the opposition united, right? You bring, right, civil society in one accord, bring all Jamaicans in one accord, eliminate the politics. Period. Point blank and period. Eliminate the politics. Because you know why you need to eliminate the politics? Our brothers and sisters are dying, and it is going to get worse. It's going to get worse. So let us show you. Let us see if we can get through your head. Now, let us go to the next clip. Bang around tonight, you know. Because we don't touch the investigation yet, you know, people. We want to sit tight, you know. Because we have some investigation to run. All right. Let us, yes. That's all right. Now, so far, here it is. Because I showed the clip, right, as it relates to the people who gathered up, right, at the river, right, and they are catching, buckling up their water, right. Some of them, right, were drinking the water. Some of them, they are going to use it to cook. Some of them, they are going to use it to bathe. They are washing their clothes. And I said that with this hurricane and the pressure, several sewage lines are going to be ruptured. Dead bodies. Animal feces. Now, people, listen to a crisis that is going to happen to Jamaica. Andrew Holness, to show you the child in you, before you even know these things, are making any assessment, to be measurable and proactive. Just imagine, you went and you said you grade yourself to an A-. What grade are you giving yourself now that you know that all of this is coming out? Now, 11 leptospirosis, 2 tetanus cases confirmed in West. Flooding fuel spike in disease risk, say official. And remember, you know, we still going to have heavy downpour of rain. Bear that in mind. And remember also, Andrew Holness, that you have some areas being flooded out. The water table lift, rise. Are you taking these things? I don't understand. I don't understand. You understand? You run and grab up at them under your office. You know, say everything where you touch fail. Oh, the Ministry of Health and Wellness is reporting 11 cases of leptospirosis following the passage of Hurricane Melissa. According to Dr. Karen Webster Carr, Principal Medical Officer and National Epidemiologist, the cases are spread across St. James. Listen, Andrew Holness. Listen. The cases are spread across St. James, Hanover, St. Elizabeth, and St. Anne. Andrew, let me tell you this. People travel from Kingston to Montego Bay and all over the place. And they are going to interact with people coming out of these zones of concerns. And yes, the possibility of spreading this thing, not only in these parishes that I am reading out, the entire island, it can spread. What are you doing to mitigate this? What is the plan of action? I'm asking you, Andrew. Is that the reason why you don't keep parliament? Because you really don't have any plan of action? And from press conference to press conference and press conference, not saying anything, speaking futuristically, and nothing being done. So now what you done? It seems like you're on static mode, stuck. And so then you can't come to parliament because the business of the day have to be on the current situation. Are you now admitting in front of the world that you're a callous failure? But remember, Mystic Sensation here in the space, right, to have checks and balance. Now, the health authorities warn that the widespread flooding in the hardest hit parishes creates ideal conditions for an increase in infectious disease. Let me leave that with you for you and your administration to think about. Now let us look at this. Get into the next clip. Now let us play this, my Jamaican people, and listen. Right? We are concerned, and more people are going to die.
People, there's been 2 confirmed deaths of leptospirosis in Jamaica today. Remember when I made that video early on when I was saying people need to be evacuated out of those areas with the dirty water, the dead animals? Yes.
Okay. All right, finish. Okay, she's just showing the chart in terms of how it's spread by birds and animals and men, and right as it relates to the leptospirosis, kidney failure, liver failure, meningitis, respiratory, and all of that, coughing, fever. This is a crisis on our hand. Play the next clip, honey. Right? Now play the next clip that we just go through. And when we finish, we're just going to speak right to the panelists. Let's play the next clip. Wonderful job. Right? Now, this is very serious, Jamaica. This is very serious. Now, let us listen to the real doctor, right, who's speaking on the issues and being proactive about the issues.
We'll see in the ensuing weeks an increase in mosquito-borne diseases. Within 6 weeks, we can expect outbreaks of dengue and whatever else is lying around, waiting for these appropriate conditions to manifest. The public health inspectors, they need to be empowered immediately so that they can start their food safety checks. They can inspect for water sources that they are potable, they have not been contaminated. Basic materials such as food temperature thermometers must be provided. We must increase vector control activities immediately. And this is not just fogging, but source control. Otherwise, we're going to see a massive outbreak of dengue. The gastroenteritis from the consumption of spoiled foods, already we hear reports of persons eating rotted or rotting carcasses. And the unavailability of potable water will lead to diarrhea, dehydration, and in the most vulnerable, the elderly, the children, and the pregnant mothers, it may mean death.
That, of course, is the opposition spokesman on health, Dr. Alfred Dawes. He says medical issues in the hard-hit areas will not be solved with the current.
Now, let me just go to melting pot with this. Pot, all right, based on Alfred Dawes there, right, as it relates to his medical potency, his level of awareness, right, being a doctor, right, and quite articulate in the field, is saying, as it relates to speaking to the government, that the government need to be proactive and deal with the matter urgently. But what we have seen a situation where tardiness, from the government simply equate to more debt? Speak on the matter, Melting Pot.
Well, there's a lack of respect from the government in regards to the advice that was given to them by Dr. Alfred Dawes. That's how I can put it mildly. Because, I mean, and where the respect, has to be attributed to is the fact that Dr. Alfred Dawes was speaking about a subject matter that is very critical to the country based on what is happening inside of the country. And Minister Tufton was, very disrespectful and trying to be, playing a game that doesn't exist. Politics. When Dr. Dawes was being conscious of the fact as a medical doctor, what the ramification of the, situation in Jamaica will provide. And I mean, dead bodies and, animals and muds and everything just into one and just stagnant, not moving, is a recipe for that. And so Dr. Dawes was just merely preempting the facts, as to what he know will take place. And Tough Tongue despise everything that Dr. Dawes was saying to him and start to play this political spin doctor. But now the reality, exists. And even when the reality exists, the government is not doing anything to combat the outbreak and the widespread of all the various disease outbreak. Because they must be testing. Send some people out now. Go and test the people them. Evacuate the people them, move the people them, separate the one them who is, positive. You understand? Who has been tested positive for any disease. Separate them. You have to do that type of, process. It's just like even the pandemic. You have to have a quarantine process, a testing process, and all these things. And that's the only way you can contain the spread of what we know, the eventuality of how we see the place there when turn out to. Because when you don't clean up the place, Marky G mentioned the mud, the squelch, you have to get rid of that. You understand? Because within that lies all the bacteria that will affect the people. And so you look at one party, they act professionally, they speak professionally. You don't see them get anybody for doing a video and I said thanks to this and thanks to that and thanks to who and whatever. Just go out and speak professionally and act professionally and speak for matters of concern. You understand? Making sure now that the communication between Mark Jefferson Golding and the people them that him visited was one of such that the people them appreciate just in present. You can see it. You understand? And the people relate to him in a manner where he now understand exactly what, because there was no confusion, because nobody was trying to get a video done by anybody. But when you look at the Jamaica Labour Party, their method of idea is to go out there not to assist the people, but to do PR. And this is why wherever they go, you see people doing videos and you hear a lot of noise in the background and people, carrying on as if it's election time. So it just shows and proves to the people in Jamaica which party is fit to lead the country. I know if Mark Jefferson Golding was the Prime Minister of Jamaica currently, would have seen better results. The process would have been of more greater concern to Mark Golding and his government than Andrew Wallace and his government. Andrew Wallace and his government is only merely trying to, pinch away at the relief package. Pinch away at the relief funds. We know what he's playing. He's holding on holding on and pinching and hope that time run out and do its course and individual get help from individual and not from the government. This is what the game I see him playing. But we have to call a spade and remind him that the international world is watching you, Andrew Holness. They are seeing all the videos that are being made and put on social media. Yeah. And they are not in satisfaction with your attitude and behavior towards the people in Jamaica. Yeah. What you have done is merely send a signal to the international community that they should not send you anything else because I mean everybody is calling out the corruption, speaking of the corruption, yeah, making mention of the fact that 3 weeks now they don't see anybody from the government side. And I mean the community look the same. It look the same.
After 3
You
weeks.
can't imagine you have people walking day in, day out for 3 weeks in this muddy situation, smelly mud, in and out. Because I mean inside where them live, there's no getting away from the mud as well. The mud lies around them. So even getting back the people to go to work. People can't leave them house where them living in mud for go to work, you know. There's no way them can get themselves ready and carry themselves to work in a manner that suggests that they're looking tidy and ready for work. Because the mud is too much. What I see, the cleaning up process need to get into high gear, get rid of the mud from out of the community so that the people them can clean out them house of the mud so that the people them can walk on the street without having to encounter into this about 6 inches of mud. Unbelievable. And if the mud don't clean up, how are you gonna get rid of the smell and the stench and the bacteria? So Andrew Wallace know if he take matters into him and better than what we see him do. Yeah? Him need to get up off him lazy ass and go out there go show the people them say my work. Because Andrew get the money. Andrew have billions of dollars now, you know. When you convert the 150 million US times the 160 exchange rate, and then the 70 million from CARICOM, yeah, and convert it into Jamaican dollars using the 160. Plus, America gave him 11 billion, 11 million, something of that sort. Him get 2.5 from UK. And him get so much money from right around the world. You understand? Him get donation. Yeah. Belgium give him. Yeah. Netherlands give him. Everywhere give him things. But where is the people to get this thing? Him maroon them off. Him maroon off the people basically, And I use the strategy so him can't get to them. We even saw him say him couldn't land a helicopter. A Marky G land one day. So this guy lied to the people. And you have to ask yourself the reason why Andrew lied to the people. The reason why Andrew lied to the people, Andrew don't care for the people. And that's the bottom line. And I yield back the floor.
Thank you, Melting Pot. Let me just bring in Brother Rattigan to just ride and whistle same time. Brother Ratti, your input.
Yeah, three points. Almost 7 years ago, the government erected a sign in Montego Bay. Total cost for that sign was 17 million Jamaican dollars. Now they're saying we're going to give the affected constituencies 10 million. People don't ever forget these things. $17 million for one sign, but $10 million to take care of hundreds, if not thousands of people. Tell me where the priority is. That's one. Second thing is they talked about shelter, and they said we have 800 plus shelters, and not one was hurricane proof certified. Not one. Category 3, category 2, not one. They used schools, and we heard last week, Saturday, that at least I had a guest on who said that she's aware of one person who died in the shelter because the roof fly off and hit her in her head, right? Hit a lady in her head. So they had schools, community centers, and churches. Here's a connection between shelters and the cat bond. Jamaica paid $10.5 million US last year for the insurance of up to 150 million. Beryl came, they couldn't make a claim because Beryl didn't satisfy the requirements. This year, 10.5 million. Now they're going to get 150. So they spent 21 to get 150. Think about this, people. What if they had used $10.5 million to build hurricane shelters across the island? I mean, one in each county, and some satellites, and pre-positioned food, water, supplies. They wouldn't have to travel from Kingston come to Westmoreland because there'd be one in Westmoreland already. So they wouldn't have to talk about clearing roads. Or even if you had to clear roads, it would be far easier for you to clear roads if you're there already, as opposed to you're coming, because now you have to contend with traffic and then you have to contend with the debris. So I don't think that $21 million was spent appropriately. Also, keep in mind that we received information that for $150 million worth of coverage, we should have paid about $4 to $5 million US, not 10.5. So another thing for you to think about. And here's the third thing for you to think about. We're talking about diseases and how people are going to be affected and the lack of health care and all of that. People recently, and I'm sure a lot of you know about this, a container of contaminated cornmeal, red peas, and flour was stolen. Contaminated. The government said it was contaminated. We don't know what the contaminant was. We don't. All we know is that they said these products, these commodities, flour, red peas, cornmeal, unfit for human consumption. So the question is, why wasn't it destroyed? Why didn't they destroy the whole shipment? They kept it in an area, and now they're saying that it's gone. And now they're telling people, don't be careful when you buy flour. Be careful when you buy. You think hungry people have time to even think about that now? And think about it now. It's contaminated. What will happen to people who consume these products? What? The government is mum, silent on the word. I just leave you with those three things to contemplate.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Brother Ratty. Now, Brother Ratty, we are going to move into some investigation, right? And of course, I'm going to require your wisdom, right? As it relates to this investigation. So, Brother Ratty, we are going to get into the 110 school buses, right? Yeah, we're going to open the investigation tonight. And then we're going to get into another investigation as it relates to Paul Buchanan versus Andrew Owens. We're going to get into that. So now we are in, that's why we save the best for last, Brother Ratty. Save the best for last. Now let us get back to Darrell Vaz. Here. I want to show you something, Brother Rocky. Right? Only lift up the investigation procurement. I want to show Brother Ratty and Melting Pot, right? Something here. Bangarang tonight, you know. Right? Under the 110 school was. Okay. Brother Ratty, does this share?
Yes, it's true.
Okay. Brother Ratty.
Yes, sir.
Ratty, are you hearing me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Melting Pot? All right. Now,
Loud and clear, loud and clear.
So as it relates to the 110 school buses that Darrell Vaz, right, claim, right, to have purchased, I want to show you the procurement method that Darrell Vaz, that was utilized. Look at this, Ratty. Darrell Vaz ministry used a competitive tender process to acquire school buses for the rural school bus transportation program. The first phase involved a contract with El Hydro Limited, which was granted approval to import buses on behalf of the ministry. For the second phase, the ministry announced it would begin the procurement process with a new expression of interest, tender by late November 2025 to acquire 150 new buses. So phase one, the procurement was handled through a contract awarded to El Hydro Limited, which imported 110 used buses for the program. Phase two, the procurement process for the next set of buses began with a tender or expression of interest by the end of November 2025. Inspection and vetting, a dedicated team from the Jamaican Urban Transit Company, right, inspected the buses to ensure they were safe and suitable for Jamaica. Take that away. Let us go to the search that I did. Right? Now, let us go to the third document as it relates to, the third one, or the second one. I want to show you, right, as it relates to certain procurement process and as it relates to the type of contract, right, that would require, right, various signatures, right, for that contract amount, for that total amount. Now, in Jamaica, permanent secretary's approval is required for contracts with a value that exceed $100 million. I want you to bear that in mind, Brother Ratty and Melting Pot. Let us get back over it. In Jamaica, a permanent secretary approval is required for contract with a value that exceeds 100 million. As per the Public Procurement Amendment Regulations 2025, for a value exceeding 60 million but not exceeding 100 million, approval is needed from the Ministry of Finance. Now here's the breakdown. Not exceeding 60 million, the head of the entity. Now, exceeding 60 million, but not exceeding 100 million, Minister of Finance. Exceeding 100 million, required approval from the permanent secretary. Take this away. Let us get to the next one. So I did a research, Ratty, wanting to find out as it relates to the approval of this thing, because the contract value $1.4 billion. So it needed, of course, the cabinet secretary approval. Now, here's the information. There is no indication that a cabinet secretary specifically signed off on the 110 school buses as a separate and final approval step. Instead, a letter from the trade board chairman, Danville Walker, indicated that his agency granted the import approval to the private company Elytra on behalf of the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications, and Transport. The process and certification of the buses became a point of significant controversy in mid-2025. Daryl Vaz, position Transport Minister Daryl Vaz, has maintained that his ministry is the official importer and that Elytra was merely the supplier agent for the manufacturer. He insists all proper procedures, including inspections by the Island Traffic Authority and JUTC engineer, were followed, and the buses are fit for purpose. Take it away. I want to ask Ratty a question. Brother Ratty.
Yes, sir.
Based on the type of contract and based on the approval authority, and this contract value over $1.4 billion. And the search is saying there's no indication that the cabinet secretary approved this situation. Now, let me ask you this. How did Daryl Vaz get this money? Let me just bring you so you can explain to us. What method that out of the policy, out of the protocol, out of the law, that Daryl Vaz could circumvent the law and get this money? Explain to us, because I am lost.
Okay. Yeah, the thing that you put up with AI, it's not entirely correct, because it says that up to 60, it's the head of the entity, and from what's it, it's 100. Anything above 100, you need the permanent secretary. Is that what it says? All right. Well, under the law, the head of the entity, because you have three of them. You said the head of the entity, the minister, and the permanent secretary.
Yes.
Well, under the law, the head of entity is the permanent secretary. Under the law, the head. If you go to the Public Procurement Amendment Act of 2025, or even if you go to the one in 2018 or the one in 2015, you'll see that it says head of entity is the permanent secretary, is defined as a permanent secretary. That's one.
No, hold on. We are talking about the cabinet secretary.
No,
hold on, because every ministry has a permanent secretary.
Correct.
So then, what we are talking about is not permanent secretary. We are talking.
Well, actually, no, that's not true either. Not every ministry has a permanent secretary. The Ministry of Finance doesn't have a permanent secretary.
Well, he's the Minister of Finance, so we are not expecting to have.
They have a financial.
So
pull it up back. Pull it up.
We're talking about the cabinet secretary.
Yeah, pull it up. Pull up the AI piece that you.
Okay. All right. Let me just get this. Nana, see if you can come help me here, because hold on. Let me get back to sharing. Did we take it off? Hold on, let me share this. Let me see if we can get back to it. Did we close that out? Did we close that out? Okay, so we have to send it back.
You don't need to send it back.
Okay, so we are talking about the cabinet secretary.
You want the third one?
Yeah.
There.
Okay. It says permanent secretary.
Permanent secretary, right.
Approval.
Yeah.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? It doesn't say cabinet secretary.
All right. So the question that I'm asking. Okay.
Right.
All right. Yes.
So you see head of entity at the bottom?
Mm-hmm.
Head of entity?
Yes.
Right. That is the permanent secretary. The law defines the head of the entity because I thought the head of the entity was the minister. But when I went and I looked at the definition, it says head of the entity is referred to as the permanent secretary. And then also bring it, go back, Lady Anne Marie, could you go back to the very first slide?
Yes.
The very first one.
Okay. Just stop sharing instead of taking it out.
That's the one having to do with the contract procedure, which is competitive bidding.
Okay. All right, we are come up with that, Ratty. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
There, that one.
Okay.
That's what I need, Ratty.
Yeah, that one. Right. This one is not correct either. It's not completely correct. You see the very first, the first sentence, Darrell Vaz ministry use a competitive tender process.
Yeah.
They did not. And that's why we have the problem with El Hydro. Because if they had, I know they have over more than 100 importers that they could have used. And I know some of them, and some of them are staunch labor rights, and they were very upset that it wasn't put out as a competitive tender because they wanted to compete in it. What they did what they call an emergency procurement under direct contracting. So they gave it to one person. Just like what they did with Market Me.
Okay.
Market Me was a direct contract, yeah. Market Me was a direct contract, but it didn't come under direct contract is where you just pick one person. And then they have about 7 requirements that you can use and say, we're issuing a direct contract based on this provision. And what they did with Market Me, they said it was based on development and research and all kinds of foolishness. Well, what Darrell Vaz did was he said it was an emergency because he said he wanted to get it in time for school. And remember, he said it was 2 years when he took over that ministry in 2023, I believe he took over, or 2022, he took over the ministry. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't an emergency back when he got the ministry. It became an emergency this year.
Okay.
So that when I say competitive tender, it wasn't competitive. Yeah. And that was the crux of the problem, that people are saying, who is El Hydro? El Hydro has no history of importing buses or importing, they imported, or if you remember, as a business in Jamaica, I think they allow you like a couple vehicles per year. I think it's 5 over a 3-year period.
Yes.
And so they were saying El Hydro is in the business of lubricants. They're not in the business of importing vehicles. So how did they get this contract? And then he start wiggling and all kinds of things. Vaz, that is, and then Minister Vaz, and then he ended up saying that, well, it was the ministry who imported them and El Hydro was just a facilitator. But if you look at the buses now, and if you look at the back of the buses now, you know, you see at the back of the buses, you don't see Ministry of Transportation, whatever. You see El Hydro on the back of the buses. That's what you see on the back of the buses. So
okay,
that's what he did. And if you remember, Minister Vaz said that he got the approval from the Public Procurement Commission, and he also got the approval from Cabinet.
So
that's what he said.
So the Cabinet Secretary would have signed off on it.
That's what he said. That's what he said. But here's the thing. And this is frustrating. Minister Vaz said 110 buses were purchased, and all of them would be in Jamaica by the end of July. Ask him now how many buses are in Jamaica.
60.
Oh, there you go. And so I have my investigators here waiting because the invoice that came out with about 28 buses. We went through the VIN numbers, and so we were able to tell when the buses were made, when the buses were sold, the mileage, all of that stuff we were able to do. And so I've been waiting on him to, because remember now we said that he's in the transparency business with the Bujo thing. He's in the transparency business. And we said, well, if you're in the transparency business, I've been waiting since July or when for you to send me the rest of the stuff so I can go ahead and just do my checks and inform the Jamaican people about the buses that they're supposed to receive. So he hasn't done any of that. He hasn't got, and I have a pending ATI. And the reason why I'm not forceful with it is because of, everything that's going on right now. But they should have provided that information a while back. So what he did, long story short, he just said it's a direct contract issued based on emergency.
Okay. All right, Ratty, but let me answer this question. As it relates to, the cabinet and the approval that he had gotten, right? Was it being approved in parts, or, was it approved for the total cash of $1.4 billion? Seriously. And then, if it's approved in parts, the portion that he had gotten, he would have purchased the 60, and then he may have some remaining cash to purchase the others. How does that work?
That's a very good question. Well, I expect no better, no less from you. That's a good question. Yeah. We don't know. We don't know because here's the thing. I'm asking, if we only have 60 buses, where's the rest of the money?
Exactly.
Where's the rest of the money? Because look, we haven't had any buses, I think, since July, August, September, and October, and now we have the hurricane. But at least 3 months went by where we didn't have any buses. So what happened to the purchase? Because he said it was an emergency and he's going to get these buses in 110. And he specifically said the buses will be in Jamaica on or before the end, July 31st. Buses will all be here. And he laid out a schedule. He said, X amount coming in on this week, Y amount coming on that week, Z coming on that. He laid everything out. And we don't have the buses. We don't have the buses, and we don't know where the money is. So I'm wondering if this is one of those things where people, it's one of the 9-day wonder, where people won't hear anything and we'll forget about it. And then we'll forget that we even paid for these, we gave him money for these buses. So the question you're asking, it's a question I can't answer, but it's a damn good question. It's a damn good question. Was the money approved for the whole thing? Or was it in pieces? Or what's this? It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Ratty. Let us go to Melting Pot. Melting Pot, any thing you want to say on the topic here?
Yeah. And it's a topic that, need a lot of discussion because it have so much loophole and intricacy. You have to dissect it carefully. And one careful, assessment and assumption is that based on the fact that this could not be tendered for any, prospective, person to bid for the contract, simply show you that it was not intended to be tendered because, the prices for these buses were so cheap you could get them free. So the fact of the matter that them took all of that money for these buses wasn't forgetting these buses was to do something else. So that's why it couldn't tender. Because if you remember, when the real investigation started, Elijah distanced himself from being the person who imported these vehicles on behalf of the manufacturer. Because the manufacturer don't know Elijah to begin with. Elijah don't know the manufacturer either. This was Darrell Vaz hanky-panky cook-up method of telling lies and robbing and tricking and conning the society. The money was taken, yeah, primarily and specifically to fund the general election campaign. But it take under the, disguise of getting these buses. And when you hear about 110 buses, you go say yeah, it's worth 1.4 billion. But enough people, lo and behold, VARS never know, so people know, so the bus them are some rotten old broke down decommissioned bus when the value nothing we are give it for free. And that's why him get caught out,
Yes.
Because all of the people that was implicated distance themselves, So them don't know nothing about this. Him not for call them name. Them literally come out and say that them distance themselves from him and the scandal because it was a big nasty scandal at the time and still is a scandal. And if VARS thinks well, then it's a 9-day wonder. We don't do 9-day wonder around here.
No.
You understand? We will keep it on the burner, burning it whenever we feel like. You understand? So we know it was a shamble, yeah, of a way they call it now, calculated and orchestrated theft. Yeah, it never done properly. Because you can't take $1.4 billion, and it not go through the sequence of events as it relates to procurement guideline and approval. Yeah? So permanent secretary and then cabinet secretary. It must go through them two entities based on the fact say 1.4 billion. Yeah? As you rightly state, Sir Byron, you're the 60 million that stayed on a Ministry of Finance. Yeah? We step up to 100 million. Yeah, it have to come through the procurement, you understand, of the permanent secretary them, and then finally go to the cabinet secretary. So we know it never go through none of them things there because remember, we know how VARS and Andra run the country, Them are run the country under mafiaism. Them are run the country under dictator style. Yeah. Them do things as them please. Them don't do it by the books. Them go around the books. So you have these problems, and that's the reason why we can't get the buses because the same game them play in the playbook with the use car them for the police for the Agintai. And the same game them come around come play again. But because the car thing just fade out, so for them calculation, which we know it not fade out because ever so often we touch on it, so we remind them of the act where them carry out, yeah, act of criminality. Remember Argentine like hear me him call upon that. You understand? And I know Vardy will continue hear your name call upon this $1.4 billion we take for some old rotten broke down the commission bus we can't even go up on the road them we have. We have to come and reconfigure them and do all type of thing. Yeah? What I think we need to come tell we know is how much money them rack up the government in terms of insurance to fix back people vehicle on the road. Because we did one, Yeah? But because we not broke, I don't have an aim and an objective to buy the election, we not take the 1.4 billion and use the school bus as the poster project. That wasn't a project. We could have begged for the bus, them would have go no. The man them want to clear the area where the old bus them park. Yeah, them a give them with nothing. Ratty get one for $1. So it couldn't go on a tender table for prospective bidder. Because it wasn't intended for that. The mongo just make mention of it like so then something of that consequence. No. It was a theft by Andrew Wallace and VARS to get the money to fund the election. Because at the time, Andrew under pressure. Andrew couldn't afford to lose the election. So by all means, Andrew have to make sure no same retain power. Yeah? By buying and stealing the general election. By using all various mechanisms, such as tadpole green, aka glass pole brown, to send out ink out there. Yeah, in an unscrupulous hand. Yeah. So there was a polling station outside of the original polling station. Them. You have man out there a conduct vote, but ghost vote. Give the money. Let you do not go and vote for the opponent, get your finger in the ink. When you go back, nobody can say you never vote. Because it's a rarity for you to see ink out in a society in unscrupulous and it not happen. So for a man say you have an ink, man say you vote, but you never vote. So I saw them rob the thing. So all this 1.4 billion was channeled into this type of various activities. Yeah? So we know it go. And I mean, but you must be held accountable for this, you must go prison for this. Because there's nothing you can come tell Jamaica. No matter how you twist and try to fix it. It now go suit the narrative of what we know what you do. We know how to use it for run the election. And this is why the rest of us them can't come in. Yeah, I will see you just put up something, Sir Byron. With them talk about 2025 another 150 bus to come in. That will never happen. That will never happen. Because you can't get the first lot at the 110. Remember 60 coming up, so 50 outstanding. So I don't know what we not talk about 2025 November another 150. Because remember, those buses prove that they are not road worthy for Jamaican road. It proves to Uno say Uno have to spend money to reconfigure them. It proves that the bus them will kill people and damage people, motor vehicle, and rock up millions of dollars on the government agenda. Yeah? So Uno have to understand, say, don't bother coming no hanky panky or so. What you need to do is come declare specifically what went down with that 1.4 billion and take the school bus off of the agenda. Because Melting Pot don't buy that. Sir Byron don't buy it. Rattigan don't buy it either. We are not stupid to the idea I want to run the country. Remember, every day I keep telling people I'm so a mafia. We're not criminal. Yeah. We're not bandolo. So we can't talk to me, There's no way I go waste my time and sit down and listen to Andrew Wallace and Pumbaz and Tough Tongue and Deadman Mackenzie and them holy shit there. You mad? I rather listen to bird them sing outside. Cause that's music to my ears. When them garbage attack are garbage to my ears, cause I don't believe in none of them. The criminal activity where them carry out for so long. Yeah, it a weighing down the country now. I will see it. Jamaica drag down panic face, not panic knee no people. The panic face drop flat now. This is why the government cannot respond to nothing. Yeah, even when them and the government love chop. So when them get free money and free goods to do things, you know, see how them lethargic. You know, see how them behave like them not care, them not have no attitude towards work. Because the government that never work. It's a government just sit down and chop and do all type of bandulism and Ponzi scheme. And that time you have the country I do for so long. Yeah? So work is not a part of them ethic. They will never work. You understand? What they are waiting on, that's why here Andrew come out and said Jamaican people are strong and resilient. Even when the people them get battered by 185 miles with category 5 hurricane, the man still has to the people them strong and resilient. That for sure so this man not care about the people and well-being and state of affairs. Me couldn't go through a devastating hurricane. One of the most powerful hurricanes of the century. Yeah? And me strong and resilient. But me not have water nor food, me never have a bed to sleep now. What kind of strength you have? You know, see Andrew Wallace a chat bullshit. I remember Andrew run out and talk to CNN and tell them say I get the country up and running in less than 2 weeks. Less than 2 weeks. But I'll know Andrew no come up and slumber, No, because I can't face the people. Because remember, the people know the type of guy he is. Yeah? When Andrew hear the people, I tell the entire world, say don't give him the money, because them now get it. We don't even know where to do him. Because remember, him I look same I get a whole barrage of goodies. But him realize that the money will off. The country not give him the money. The country not give him the money, So what them a chop now is the people them goods out of airport. Vaz and him friend them Andrew. Yeah? Because I'm going to tell you this. If me I run a country You see my airport and my seaport, when it come on to my custom, them can't thief nobody goods, you know. Cause remember, you know, your thief today, you know, and the person make a complaint, I mean, know who deal with them barrel, cause you have to sign to them barrel. Remember, you don't have a job tomorrow, you know. You don't have a job, I remember me have camera surveillance. So you can't steal from my people when you pay me them custom duty. Yeah, to clear them goods, but you steal from them. It's bad for the country. You can't imagine you have to pay to clear your barrel them. Yeah. And even if you don't pay because the same I get 30 days, that no means same custom them pay going to the people them thing, you know. But this is how Andrew them have the country around. Because when you have a guy like Pumvaz, yeah, who we know say him have a 212 thing, yeah, for them visa. What was the DEA, drug enforcement agent, yeah, investigate that piece of shit there. Or you have him at your seaport and your airport. A madness. Madness. So you will find these type of activities, yeah, arising at all costs because them they are the custom now. So well, boy, the government give them free passage, you know. Them now pay for this so we can take out and we can empty this and empty that. No, I see a video, yeah, after Buju video, you know, and this young man, you know, the only thing the man said them not touch him tool, them take one grinder. But the rest of things, them ravish that man. Ravish it. Now these people are unscrupulous. Unscrupulous. But I hear Pumba say, him back them, because them are government worker, and him back the government, so him back them. That him a tell we, you know. That him a tell we, because him can investigate all case overnight. But what we are talking about is how Andrew Holness, yeah, has become a non-existent prime minister. You don't even hear him or see him. And when you do see him appear in company, yeah, I would expect to see this guy and I'm hard at an invisible best, like when we see him without a Morant there, when them never have to go out there with that. No at the time for your foot up on the ground, Andrew. No at the time you put on your hard hat. All size 13. Because you can't go in them place and go in the heels, you know. Supposed to go in to face the eventuality, supposed to slip. You know the mud. Supposed to slip. And you want to hard hat saying on a kid back and dead. But you never prepare. Because remember, I know them places are ground zero. So you know, so when you got ground zero, you know, you have to go prepare. So you see in time them go them places, them not really go ground zero, you know. Them got the edge of ground zero and them carry out them PR. And we are said to stop because Jamaica not benefiting from PR anymore. Jamaica not benefiting from Andrew come out and trick the people them like Brother Nancy. Or the little boy and the wolf. This can't work. It has to stop. And I yield back the floor.
All right, Melting Pot. All right. No,
Mr.
yes.
One quick question.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Yes, go ahead.
Go back. Please go back to the article or the AI you pull up about the bus. Who imported the bus?
Okay.
I thought it said that it was a ministry.
Hold on.
Can you find that for me, please?
Yes, it's coming up.
This one? Or
this is what you want, Ratty?
Okay. Okay. Now, there was one where he said that El Hydro, they didn't really import the bus, they just facilitated the bus, the buses for the
Go. You can just read it. Top.
This one they say El Hydro. The El Hydro was the one who had the contract to approve the buses. But if you recall, Minister Vaz came out and said what? Said that it was the ministry that imported the buses. And they just facilitated. Well, we know that can't be true because guess what? I'm looking at a letter now dated May 27, 2025 from the Jamaica Trade Board. And it says, this letter serves to confirm receipt of your correspondence. That the correspondence you're referring to is one from Minister Vaz, dated May 20, 2025 regarding the caption matter. Additionally, approval has been granted to El Hydro to import 110 buses on behalf of the ministry. So it wasn't the ministry that imported the buses, it was El Hydro. And what's interesting is that there's another company, Triari, out of Chicago. They're the ones who actually purchased the buses. It wasn't El Hydro. El Hydro imported the buses. So the ministry played no role in there. You had a purchaser up in Chicago who purchased the buses, shipped the buses to Jamaica. Then you have El Hydro who imported the buses and then turned them over to the ministry. So the ministry never played any role. So Minister Vaz wasn't truthful when I don't think he was completely truthful when he said that the ministry was the one who actually imported the buses, because we have something coming here from the trade board saying no, it wasn't the ministry, it was El Hydro that imported the buses. So what you have,
Ratty, I don't remember El Hydro distanced himself from the importation, you know. El Hydro did distance himself. So we have only been running around in circles, going around in circles by these punks, these criminals. Yeah?
Well,
they set it up like this. But Ratty, you know, so this no one importation because the bus them so cheap. It don't need nothing to import nothing. Yeah? To the scale of where them have give out contract to El Hydro.
I just shared something with you, Mystic.
Yeah. So
you see it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at that, people. Well, I'm gonna bring see it right here. Look at this. Look at the second sentence, the one that says additionally. This one here. Well, I'm gonna show you. See it right here.
Mm-hmm. Additionally, approval has been granted to El Hydro to import 110 buses on behalf of the ministry.
Yeah, El Hydro was the one who got it. So I don't know when Minister Vaz come out and say that it was the ministry that actually did this and El Hydro. So you say, well, what kind of role El Hydro played if the ministry imported it? Well, it's not the ministry imported it. It was El Hydro.
Then we have to ask the question, why did El Hydro distance themselves when the controversy started?
Because they never expected people would be looking into it. They never expected that. Just like
because
the drill.
Because El Hydro not have no importation license for vehicle. So El Hydro couldn't really import all these amount of vehicle, you know.
Correct.
So this a show you say something right, Ratty.
Exactly, because the question that is going to ask now, what is the amount being approved by cabinet?
Right.
That is a very significant question now. At the time, in terms of El Hydro to import 110 buses on behalf of the Ministry of Armed Science.
110 new buses. See it right there, son.
But there was no new bus.
That again wrong.
There was no new bus. So this is a fictitious documents them put out.
Exactly.
Nothing right about this document.
Yeah, see where it come from there.
All right. How much money? So Ratty, this is a question. How much money that the cabinet was approved in terms of the purchase at the time? Because remember, it's only 60 bucks came in.
Right. But you're sticking up with a question there. But here's what happened, because remember he came out and said they have approved. He said they have approved 1.4. I think he said they have approved 1.4 billion for the purchase of 110 school buses.
Okay. So if that is the case, right, then the question begs, one to the remaining amount of money, because we did not get 110 buses, you understand? And when are we going to get the other buses? So right here, you understand what did Darrell Vaz, right? That $1.4 billion being processed.
Like I said, those are very good questions you're asking, and we're not getting any answers. Here's another point, right? And I write to them and say, give me the letter, and up to now they don't respond. You see this? It says this letter serves to confirm receipt of your correspondence dated May 20th, 25 regarding the captioned matter. Right? Now ask yourself the question, what is the captioned matter? It's this.
Permission to import 110 new buses.
New. So I'm asking for this letter, this date, this May 20th letter, because what Mr. What's name again? Danville Walker. What he's saying is that, Minister, based on the letter that you sent us regarding the caption matter, and here's the caption. The caption is permission to import 110 new buses. And then Minister Vaz jumped out and said, no, the buses them not new. And we know, so not only are they not new, we know that they're very old. So we're asking for that letter because we want to see that letter that he sent to this entity and Danville Walker. We want to see that letter then. And then we won't give her the letter.
Okay.
Ratty. Ratty, can I ask you just one question? Hold on, look, Sir Byron. I ask one question to Ratty here. Yeah, based on your knowledge, what the top price for one of them buses there? The most Jamaica could have paid for one of those buses.
The most you pay for a 2015 Bluebird or Thomas or International. You could have, if you had to go to an auction, you'd have get it for about $3,500. $3,500 US dollars. $3,500 US dollars.
So this 1.4 billion with them take, yeah? Is an exorbitant amount of money for the little number of buses, all buses what them are bringing. So that is why we know it never take for this purpose. They take for run the election. But it's true, them never know, so we got uncover the scandal and the criminality with these buses. Yeah. This is why it play out like this. This is why you see people start back out and then VAD change the statement and I say the ministry import them. Then you see document I say Elijah. You see document I say 110 new buses when we know are all buses. And it's a whole bungle of shenanigans.
Yeah.
So I tell you, say, skullduggery.
What on the melting pot? Because what the problem is here, Ratty, because look here now.
You want the document back or no?
Well, what it appears to me, Brother Ratty, I don't know if you pick up the same thing. It appears to me that the 110 new buses, based on that information that you have just shown, was a pretext to get the $1.4 billion.
Right.
What it looks to me. That was a pretext to get the $1.4 billion.
That's why them don't want to release the documents then, because I guarantee you, if we get that letter from Minister Bassett going to new buses, because that is what this man is saying right here. It's new buses.
Yes. So the big question again tonight, the People's National Party, the opposition, right, has now taken over the PAAC, the Public Accounts Committee. To the fact that they have that, can they look now in those expenditures and determine whether or not that, was the $1.4 billion paid out? Because they have access now to the PAAC, right? That have oversight over government expenditures. So could the opposition now take a look where that is concerned?
Look, if you know any one of them on the committee, tell them call me. I have all the information. I even have information on Triari, the company where purchased the buses.
Yes.
I think of them this. Oh, Sita. This company, hold on there. Let me share this with you again. Hold on there. Let me just quickly share this with you. Right, there you go. See there?
Yes.
There. That's the company that purchased, I think it's 20-something buses, all of these buses. And folks, just so you know, we went through all of the VIN numbers, all of them. And that's why we were able to tell you that these buses, most of them, they were the 2010 buses. 15-year-old buses.
What is the total cost, Ratty? Go down. Do we have a total cost here?
Yeah. No, our total cost here. Hold on.
Yeah, we need to see the total cost.
It is $424,885 and 27 cents.
Okay. Is
You
that
see?
okay?
That's for the 110, Ratty.
What is this?
No, this is about 20. This is about 20 something buses. Let me see.
Then him still appear that there's something wrong in association with man.
It's
Based on the
about
fact
28
that
buses.
Huh?
28 buses.
Ratty, based on the figure where you give me, 3,500, yeah? US. Yeah, for the, at the top price, yeah?
Right.
I mean, 27 times 3. 27 times 3 hour.
Look,
81.
Even if, all right, tell you what, even if you say $5,000, can you buy them at auction, you know? Because you could have get them cheaper if you went to the school district, you would have gotten them cheaper. Because you'd take all of them off of their hands. They wouldn't have to worry about sending it to an auction house and all that. You could just go in and get all of them from this. And you could have gotten them for $1 each or maybe free. But make us say you go at an auction, right? And it's 20 years. Right? And make us say you pay $5,000 per bus. That's $140,000. Here, what we see right down here, so we see 424.
Man, them a chop, man.
So there's a contrast between what listed here and the total items. That's what you're saying, Ratty.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Are you saying that there's a contrast there as it relates to the total items that listed here? It doesn't come up to the total of 424,000, or it came up to the total?
All right. Let me tell you the story, right? See this? I've been told by a reliable source that the numbers when this invoice went to Jamaica, the numbers were nothing like this, and that these numbers you're looking at right here, these numbers were inflated in Jamaica because them said, because them said the numbers that went down on this invoice. Again, this is what I'm being told. Can't prove it, but I've been told that this invoice that went down, when they looked at it, them said, because they put down numbers, smaller numbers than the numbers you see on this thing. And then the idea was, hey, we can't put them numbers out there. We have to inflate the numbers and we have to put up some bigger numbers. And so these numbers that you see here, these numbers were actually, all of these numbers you see right here, is Jamaica, all of these numbers. Them put in this number. Them change the original numbers to these numbers.
So that's still under $500 million, you know.
Yeah.
$500,000, 420,000. Yeah.
Right.
Still under $500,000. Yeah, but the guy take 1.4 billion. You understand? And we are look on this guy and I say, him involved in too much thing where you see say it go wrong. Just look on the beach resort them where himself. Undervalue them and go collect money over Mexico. You can't just bad a criminal. And we know, me know say this information I would them put out, Ratty. It falsified, you can't see it. Yeah, it falsified. There's no way they would have sell them the bus. Buses where they want to get rid of, bus where decommission. No way they would have sell government to government for those prices what we are seeing. So yeah, and the word.
Get an example, right? Them buses, most of them, like I said, the 2010 buses, right?
Yeah.
And take a look at like the ones for $20,000, right? For you buy a 2010 bus for $20,000. Now, this company here, you see them export right there, so the tax exempt. See it right there?
Yeah.
Exempt. So the word, right? And then this company here, this Triari, right here.
Yeah.
Some of them reseller. Them are the one who buy it. Them buy it and resell it. See it right there, so the reseller a tax ID. Them buy it and them resell it. And so them do that, them prepay feet, right? So the question is, them buy it And we trace a couple of them. There's couple of them they bought out in Vegas. A couple of them they bought out in Vegas, and we trace a number of them. And we realize that these buses don't cost more than $5,000 each. Them don't cost more than $5,000. And if you see them cost more than $5,000, what happens is that somebody have the numbers them are fudged with the numbers. So, but we said to them, said, listen, we suspect that this is going on. So tell me what you do. Give us the rest of the information. Give us all of the information. And so far they didn't even give us this. This was out in the public domain. And we're asking and say, give us the letter that says it's new buses, and give us the stuff, the rest of the buses with the VIN number, so we can check the VIN numbers them and see and go back and figure out where these buses were sold and how much they were sold for. And so far we haven't gotten anything. All right.
Ratty, all right. We could just left that alone. And we want to touch on Paul Buchanan case with Andrew Honest. Right? Because that is so far, right? Well, we're supposed to have today is the 18th, right? And we're supposed to at least hear something where that is concerned. But obviously, so far, people, right? We haven't heard anything upon this point. But let us just go back to the last status as it relates to the case, right? Bring it up on it. I don't want to ask some questions here, Ratty. We are just, touching on this situation here, right? We're going to hear Paul Buchanan, right? Because this is very significant, Now, I wonder if I make Andrew Honest can come to Parliament. Parliament not keep. Hold on, let me play this.
I could beat Andrew, but he's my friend, and for years ago when Portia offered me the seat, I didn't want to run against him. And I have stayed away. People have asked me over the years to come here. But because I knew Andrew very well.
Just tell us some of your political history.
Well, I would have joined the party a long time ago, but very active at the lower level, late 70s. And then in 2008, in 2006-07, I ran for the selection in Central West. And I won by perhaps the greatest amount of votes in the history of the party. And I was denied, although I won. I got 406 delegates and my four opponents, three opponents, let me check that, got 401. And they were all accomplished candidates. Kerry Wallace, now Dr. Kerry Wallace. You had Dr. Watts, who was head of the electrical department at UTech. You had people like Leonard Green, the attorney, and the other one was the deputy mayor, Paul Wilson, was the deputy mayor down there. So it was a pretty serious field. I being from Kingston, nobody gave me a chance. But I won. The attorney said one day, I said, people, because president down there, and a lot of people didn't know them, I would have been the technical director at MIDA, who had placed a lot of microsector projects down there. I was also the past president of Arena Football Club. Also, former leader Patterson had asked me to deal with the Pride program and the upgrading, what we call a beautification program. We looked at all those zinc fence and things. and we would have dealt with all of the inner city of Sablamar. So I had some president down there, and I won.
Oh, how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't want to make that be a campaign.
No. I'm not making that a campaign. I have a point. I'm referencing your age against your antecedents, right? And I'm saying you're obviously older than Andrew,
much older,
right? So why St. Andrew, West Central?
The leader asked me
We're the leader of the Jamaica Labour Party and the Prime Minister of the country is running, where when you look at the political history of the constituency, you have Mullines division, which the PNP seems to control, but then you have the other two divisions where you don't seem to be making any headway, even though the turnout in the election is concerning in the constituency.
You have your facts wrong there.
Say that
significant headway.
No. When I say headway, I
before you mean prior.
Yes, right.
But it was an impossible. It is an impossible seat.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
your words, not mine.
So I would have. I would have been summoned to a meeting with the leader, and I think at one executive meeting I had told the general secretary or somebody somewhere said I could beat Andrew, but he's my friend, and I didn't for years ago when Portia offered me the seat, I didn't want to run against him. And I have stayed away. People have asked me over the years to come here. But because I knew Andrew very well. We used to meet in Montego Bay at Pelican Grill, and we used to have lunch, and by that time he was full of ideas because I was a president of Arnett Football Club, and Seaga would have been the president of Tivoli. And when I was working on the piece between Tivoli and Arnett, where we used to play matches up Park Camp, and the field down at Railway wasn't anything like Arnett, I would have been instrumental in getting him 22 million. But the whole of the PNP were cut off bed, so we give Seaga 22 million.
So let me jump in, because because it sounds to me like you didn't run against Andrew Holness when he was a young politician.
Yeah.
A new fight, maybe, even though he was, he got good tutelage from the likes of Seaga.
Well, I can stop you there.
Right.
When your party leader asks you to do something,
you just do it.
Comrade, you do it.
So
especially when he makes the case, and he has committed to be behind.
Yes, okay, fine. So is it that you have no aspirations to be in Gordon House? You're just a placeholder?
No, man.
Tell me.
There is unfinished work. The work of a member of parliament must be transformational. I still have much to give. As you recall, I would have been the head of the Pride program, where we did 58,000 lots of land, which again is unprecedented. Despite all the brouhaha you hear about Pride, I would have been the earlier man behind places like Wellington, Glades, Oaklands, before Pride, and at Pride, we upon there, Pride myself and being part of that transformation, which put the working class on Beverly Hills, at Long Mountain, at Karachi, all those places, and other places around the island.
But all of that is fantastic, Mr. Buchanan, but what are you telling the voters today that will let them come out on September 3 and vote for you over the president or the leader? I'm asking you now.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
After 27 years.
I have a long run up. Okay, so yes. I'm asking you now. After 27 years, after everything you have given to the party, after all the disappointments, all the accomplishments, what are you promising to the voters in this constituency that will make them put their eggs beside their head over the leader of the Jamaica Labour Party?
This one is for the children. Our generation has failed. We have not prepared in the Prime Minister constituency in Jamaica for the new technologies that are coming. We are at the backwater. So I will be a transformational member of parliament. I want to put an artificial intelligence and robotics institute at No Man's Land and West Bay Farm Road there. Andrew wants to put houses. Perhaps you get some votes for that. We have to change the culture and the mien of this constituency. Children don't go to get a job and want to give this address. The stain of violence and gunmanship has taken over the whole place, a cycle of violence, a cycle of poverty. One police station out of Olympic and Bay Farm Road after 27 years, with a few houses, 7 years and a 2 there for his supporters. There's nothing else to show. Not even the China school. If you talk about the China school, you're talking about, you're reminded of the program and the vilification of Michael Manley and the irony of politics that it is the GLP that has benefited from that courageous and principled step that he made in 1972. So I see myself as transformational. I will establish robotics at this school here, why I brought you here. Okay. It is not intended to be just reopened after 15 years.
All right. Brother Ratty.
Yes,
right,
sir.
I want to just bring it to the fore. Right, and obviously, as it relates to what Mr. Buchanan is saying, he has profound knowledge as it relates to his constituents, right? He had canvassed it, right? And so then he knows everything about his constituents. Now, based on what we are looking at, right, there is his concern challenging the Prime Minister, right, as it relates to the situation playing out, that he believed that the election was stolen from him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Based on his argument and based on certain things that he had explained, right, in prior clips, right, the demographic breakdown, right, of the voters that he explained. Do you think that he has a solid case? Remember, today is the 18th and we haven't heard anything as it relates to the outcome. I am asking you, based on his demographic breakdown, right, of the people in his constituency, and where we believe that he would have won it, or he had won it, right? Let me just put you up here. Do you believe that based on his explanation of the demographic breakdown of the election where his constituency is concerned, does he have a solid case to prove?
In a word, yes, he does. And by the way, the hearing was held today. It finished this evening. And based on what I'm hearing, things look very good for Mr. Buchanan.
Wow.
I don't know if you watched the program last, because you probably were busy, but last week, Saturday, they said, what go around, come around. And I've seen the document that he filed, but I've also looked at a document back in 1997, 98, when the election court looked at some of the voting infractions committed by the JLP in that same constituency. And there's one that just jumps out at me. And I showed it last week, Saturday, and I said, this Saturday, we're going to go through the whole thing and show you patterns and practices. We're going to show you that what happened back in 1997, we're going to show you that some of the same things happen in 2025. Here's one that I don't know if all the listeners, all the viewers are aware of. Back in 1997, they had the election in December. It was Warren Blake against Andrew Holness. It was Andrew Holness's first time competing in representational politics, to the best of my knowledge. 1997. He won the election. Dr. Warren Blake felt that there were some irregularities. So he challenged it. He took it to the constituted body and they said, I think it was over 60 violations. And they said yes. So they sent it off to the election court. And the court came back and said, we have to have a do-over. So they did a do-over in 1998. And when they did the do-over, Warren Blake won. Then Andrew Holness appealed because he said, you know what? I think there were some voting irregularities here. And it went up to the court and they said yes. So they had another election and Andrew Holness won. That's how Andrew Holness won in 1998, you know. That's how he became MP. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'll give you one example of what Mr. Warren Blake complained about in 1997, 1998. I'll give you one example. It was the very first time that the Carter Center came to Jamaica to exercise supervision over an election. Very first time. And it was also the very first time that Cafe, that Jamaican group, that they participated. Now, the Carter group, the Carter Center, they've been doing this for a long time, you know, election oversight all over the world. So they were in Jamaica. Now, in polling division 72, in that same constituency, there was a ballot box that they counted the ballots in front of President Carter and his wife. And here is what that count showed. 338 votes cast for Warren Blake. Only seven votes cast for Andrew Holness. And one vote casted for a gentleman by the name of Steve Daly, who represented NDM, for a total of 346 votes. In that polling division, they have 353 electors. So 346 people out of the 353 voted. Mystic, that was the initial count. When they did the final count, the Carter Center wasn't there. The Carter Center was there for the initial count. The Carter Center wasn't there for the final count. I guess them pack up them oversee the election, the initial count, and them say, okay, fine, and then them left. And then the final count came after. I am going to read you, I'm not even going to tell you, I'm going to read you a sentence from the court document. Remember now, 346 people out of 353 voted in that polling division. 338 out of the 346 voted for Warren Blake, 7 voted for Andrew Holness, and 1 for Steve Daly. Here is the final count. It says, on the 22nd of December, during the final count, this ballot box, Mystic, was found to be empty. All 346 votes, all 346 ballots gone.
It appears as if it is the same characteristics playing out as it relates to this.
And there's a lot more. But think about the barefacedness of this thing here, where 346 ballots just disappear. They were counted, in front of the president and his wife, Initial count, and the final count, 0. Nothing in that box. And here what the court said. The court says, these ballots were not reckoned in deciding the outcome of the poll. Again, the irresistible conclusion is that the ballots were tampered with. That's 1997. We could go to 2015. Same constituency, here are some of the things that Mr. Buchanan has provided as his evidence, provided as reason why you should have a do-over. There were 2 instances of people voting twice.
Wow.
There was an instance of masked men jumping over the fence, intimidating the people. There was an incident where the ballot box, they agreed that when the ballot box left a certain polling station, there's a certain, both parties agree, there's a certain route that you're supposed to take, and you're not supposed to deviate. When they left the polling station, they went in a different direction. And it is stated in the affidavit that the PNP observers, they lost sight of the vehicle carrying the ballot box. Also, you cannot campaign on election day. And there were instances of campaigning going on. Also, you cannot have a crowd gather in front of you cannot have a crowd gather less than 100 meters from a polling station. If a crowd wants to gather, it must be minimum 100 meters away. I have videos. I have a video showing that there was a huge crowd in front, not even 10 inches, not even 100 inches, in front of the polling station, and they were wearing a sea of green. It's a sea of green. So if you had on an orange shirt and you wanted to go vote, you know what happened? You're not going to go vote.
Intimidated.
Intimidating techniques and tactics. These are just some of the violations mentioned in Mr. Buchanan's submission to the court here. So some of the things that happen, and again, the common denominators here is it's the same constituency and it's the same candidate.
Now, Ratty, let me just ask a question. Before Melting Pot jump in. One more question. All right, let us think on this scenario, right? Because we haven't heard anything yet, right? I don't know if you hear something, Ratty, and you want to might be leak what you have heard.
No. What they did, what they did today, they did the submissions already, and today they had the oral argument. Okay. So what happened is that the court hasn't decided yet, but I'm getting feedback from participants, from people inside the court, that it was a very, very good day for Mr. Buchanan. Wow. That the arguments made, the Attorney General's office, they had no answer. They had no comeback to the answers. I mean, no comeback to the presentation made.
So the presentation was very convincing.
It was very convincing.
Wow. Good. All right. Since that is the case, right, I'm just asking you a quick question before Melting Pot comes in. What, in this scenario, if Buchanan being successful, would this be a ripple effect within the Jamaica Labour Party?
Yeah, they're worried. The Prime Minister is not sleeping well tonight, believe me, and he won't be sleeping well for a long time to come, because it is going to cause a ripple effect. It is going to cause a ripple effect. And I just hope that going forward, that more people step up like Mr. Buchanan, and they will make notes of stuff like things like this, and they will use the mechanism available to them to right the wrongs, to right the election wrongs. But most people, they're not going to do it. But I mean, I commend him. And if you think about it, there were lots of statements about vote buying and this and that and that. And in the end, it's only one person step up. It's only one, Mr. Buchanan. And I don't know if it's because he's a veteran and You know what I mean? Him not fearful like some of the younger folks or anything like that. But I kudos to him for standing up, because this is what a democracy is supposed to be about. If you feel you've been wronged, you seek relief in the courts, and that's exactly what he's doing. And I wish him all the best.
Okay, sounds good. Brother Melton Pot, close us out in terms of your input. All right, cool.
Well, I mean, it's like everywhere Andrew go in our vote off process, you know, him steal it. Listening to Ratty, and we all know it, you know, with Mr. Blake. Yeah, there was a rerun. Him last, him file another submission, another rerun, him win. We look back on, you know, the leadership election and arena with him and Manor Yard. And we see the same thing. Yeah, him overrun the space. 7 busload of people. All the people when we are work off to get up with. So we know this guy is a disruptive opponent when it comes to an election. And he will do anything to win. You understand? And based on the fact that, you know, as Ratty rightly point out, there was a lot of, you know, breaches on the day as it related to people harboring around the polling station, not, you know, adhering to the required distance of 100 meters. Yeah, we know about the ink. We know some closed down even, I think, a 3 polling station in the division. And, you know, it was just on a rampage. And that doesn't constitute, you know, him having the right to do that, because you're supposed to vote and leave. Yeah, and go to your party headquarters or go to your yard. But Andrew was loitering around the vicinity and trying to mobilize men to intimidate people, and which he did. So the whole heap of breaches, you know, would have given Mr. Buchanan all rights to appeal and file a submission. Yeah, asking for a rerun of that particular seat. And I know Mr. Buchanan hold the aces in the pack right now. Yeah, because when you look and see how the counting process, you know, was going on, and Mr. Buchanan was right there in the thick of things all the way up until those final 18 boxes, and then Andrew just make a big surge like Hurricane Melissa. You understand? And blow Mr. Buchanan away. And you know, we don't see these type of, you know, surge at the back end of a count off in our general election. We don't see that. That is abnormal. Yeah, we have never seen that. You understand? But this is Andrew and his minions them at work. Because we all knew about the technology side of things and how it fail miserable. Yeah. And when the technology was up and running, Andrew surged. And then we realized who was in charge of the technology. It's a guy where align himself to Andrew Holness. So there are too many circumstances, you know, that surround this constituency. And the people is the primary objective, you know, of a voting process. Because the people must get their choice. So it's down to the 2 opposing candidates to perform well leading up to election so you can win the voters. But on the day, it's the voters' rights, not the member of parliament's rights. The voters' right is what is essential. Because we cannot come out and, you know, support the man of our choice or the woman of our choice. But because of skullduggery, you know, the result go the other way. That is not democracy. That is dictatorship and robbery. And so Andrew Holness must answer to all these variants that took place because he was party to the activity. Yeah, Mr. Buchanan was not, you know, carrying out those type of practice that Andrew was doing. So you could see who was trying to instigate something out of the norm. Yeah, the normality is that you come and you vote and you go home and your yard. Yeah, and you make sure no, so well then you don't upstore nothing. Well, we see Andrew do it to see him wife do it size 13. Both of them have the same agenda because both of them put head pan pillar together. And if you notice, the two of them carry out the same procedure. So it's not rocket science to know what their agenda was. Both of them, out of all the other rest of member of parliament that run on the Jamaica Labour Party ticket, them two, the size 13 and Andrew, went into the election to win at all costs. And we saw what they did at all costs. Remember, size 13 was doing practically the same thing like Andrew. She went in and she disrupt and disturb the whole voting process. She even got barriers. Yeah, and she not supposed to be directing barriers. She not supposed to be. But the policemen were there adhering to her and putting up the barriers. And then, you know, she was in and out. That constitute a breach as well. So there was lots of breaches that the Jamaica Labour Party constituted on the day. Yeah? Lots of breaches. And I mean, as Ratty rightfully said, it was a widespread thing, but only Buchanan decided to challenge. I know Steve McGregor have a case. I don't know him let him case just slip away. Steve McGregor had a case. Steve McGregor was, you know, was elected on the night as a winner. Yeah. And then by the next day we hear something go wrong. We hear say them find some other vote in an envelope, all type of hanky panky. Sometimes you can't even understand where they come in. Cause you hear one thing, I hear another. You hear say it in a box, I hear say it in an envelope. Them know which one to believe. But anyhow, them go find some vote whenever count. Yeah? But them they declare McGregor on the night, you know. And McGregor was not leading up to the final count. Yeah? It was Donovan Williams who was leading up to the final count. And Mackenzie and McGregor went past him. Yeah, and it was what? By 12. Something of that sort was a number. And then them turn it around because Andrew had vested interest in Donovan Williams, you know. Yeah, that guy holds some shares and some suspicious, you know, activity for the Prime Minister. Yeah, so we know all of these things. So them have to make sure know them get them people where them want back into office. Yeah, to keep the link strong. Yeah, but the link office at some time become weak, you know. And I think this is the start of the weakness of the link. Yeah, because I know when all is said and done, yeah, if that seat go into a rerun, Buchanan gonna win. And win handsomely. And this time, you know, there will be more eyes on the prize. Because it's a one-off thing now in that constituency. It's not like a widespread thing where it can't monitor. And this time it must be monitored with great interest. Yeah? Great interest. No loophole. And we don't need no electronic night this time either. We need a whole and tried and tested version of voter counting manually. No electronic thing, because we don't trust this guy, Dushan Shivadi. We don't trust Andrew Holness. You understand? When it comes to electronic device, don't trust him with that. You understand? Because him align himself against some dangerous players. Players who know how to hack into this system and disturb it. So we want it go back to voter counting manually. And I think the people deserve to get their choice of member of parliament representative. Because I know the people, yeah, up by Mullines Division and even some other people in the Seaward Garden Division. Those people, yeah, are not in favor of Andrew Holness based on the whole situation surrounding Andrew Wallace as a leader, the controversy that surrounds this guy from day one, a lot of people are not in favor of this guy. So this guy had to steal the election using all the various mechanisms that we just point out. Yeah. And, you know, as a result of that, it shows that there was a lot of variances and issues. And so, based on the People's Act 1944, it has to go back into the court. And the result is that a rerun of that seat. And Andrew, sad to say, you won't win it this time. And next thing, you can't get a rerun either. Yeah? So it's not like enough Mr. Blake time. Paul Blake, you're not going to do that. This time when it run, and Buchanan beat you fair and square, you don't bother go waste the more time and waste the more resource for a recount or a recall. Not like that. And I yield back the floor.
All right, thank you for that, Melting Pot, and we are happy as it relates to what looks like, right? Andrew Wallace is on the wire, and believe you me, Paul Buchanan is landing the uppercut on the straight right. Good look, right? I want to say, you know, thanks, Brother Ratti, and thanks, Melting Pot. Let me give Wifey to close us out. Wifey.
Okay, guys, thank you. Thank you, guys, so much for tuning in as usual. Really appreciate the continued support. Thank you for making it an interactive discussion. Thank you to all the panelists for their wealth of knowledge and for sharing. I just want to say have a wonderful night. Remember to tune in to Mr. Rattigan show tomorrow evening. And also tune in on Saturday for the continued revelation regarding the voting irregularities in that constituency. I watched it on Saturday, and yeah, it was informative. It was very revealing to the end, but then you're keeping us in suspense. All right, guys. So have a wonderful night. Stay safe. Safe travel on the gravel, and continue praying for our brothers and sisters that are in dire strait. Continue to assist where you can, and see you on the next live.
Blessings. Love you all. All right, cool.
I know why you come to me with that foolishness, you know. You elect a prime minister, and is a prime minister run the country. It is time we learn to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses. Otherwise, go elect the people who really run in the country. And I don't want the right start that stupid argument. Hold the people you elect accountable and stop making excuses for them.